in. Tuesday edition of the Bill Michaels Show. On the air. Brewers stumbled last night. Game 1 in San Fran. And now, they're not making excuses. But I'll tell you this, for anybody that has ever traveled, anytime you get stuck on a tarmac and you can't get out of the plane, now they travel differently than you and I travel. First and foremost, baseball teams do. Bigger, roomier seats, usually first-class seating the entire way. It's a lot nicer amenities on charter flights. But they got stuck at Mitchell for 5 hours on Sunday. 5 hours. That's a long damn time to get stuck at Mitchell. I don't care who you are. So the fact that they got stuck there took them a while to get into San Francisco, to get settled. Now, granted, you get a good night's sleep and all that kind of stuff. I'm not making total excuses, but man, that's a long time to be stuck on the tarmac at General Mitchell. 5 hours. That seems like an eternity. That's just crazy to get stuck there that long. But they did, and they didn't win last night. 3-0. They got blanked. And I do have to say this, and it always bothers me. There's one little thing. Can I be that jackass for a second? Can I just be that get off my lawn guy? You know, that old school, that OG type of guy. The opening fly ball to Bowers that he dropped. And all I'm screaming, and I do it all the time. I saw it with Jackson Churio the other day, Sal Frelick the other day. Sal Frelick's a little more short-handed, but I'm watching these guys, and I just keep going, oh, my God, if the ball's going to pop out of your glove. It's just this nonchalant, I keep thinking of Willie Mays Hayes making the basket catch and doing the pose out in the outfield, and then coming in, and then, Lou Brown saying, way to go, great catch, don't ever effing do it again. That type of thing. That's all I wanted to scream was, oh, my God, 2 hands. I can't tell you how many times, fundamentally, you see guys drop things. And the Mets are a prime example of that this year because the Mets defensively they stink. But, oh, my God, I was just screaming at the television yesterday. I was doing a little grilling. The storms were already past. Everything had kind of calmed down. I was doing a late-night Italian sausage, just grilling. Watching it on the Tiki Bar patio television. And then he dropped the ball. And I was screaming. So anyway, that's my initial salvo today. We're going to talk with Chuck Freimund from the Locked On Brewers podcast. He's going to be joining us coming up here a little bit later on today. And also interesting stuff out of the shareholders meeting. It's what's not said. And I listened to it. And I did not even read Tom Silverstein's column until today. And then I read it, and I'm like, okay. Tom's been doing this a lot longer than I have, but we were on the same wavelength. I'm thinking to myself, at some point, you're not going to give out the financials. But you're going to say, hey, and we want to let you know that we've locked up our head coach and our general manager and our head of finance. And these guys are now tied at the hip. And we're proud to say that we've given them each a 3 or 4 year contract extension and going through such and such. Okay, great. And, so these guys, we appreciate you and we want to support you and we want to show all of our support and blah, blah, blah. I was waiting for it. It never happened. Doesn't mean they didn't sign them for 5 years, 10 years, 27 years. Who knows? Or 1 year or 2 years. You usually make that the length of time public, also to tell the team inside the walls of 1265, hey, by the way, these guys are here to stay. Don't think if you're in there somewhat disgruntled right now that these guys are going anywhere, So, and it's kind of like, didn't happen. So that was interesting. We did not get that out of the shareholders meeting. I really, really thought we would. And it didn't happen. We're going to talk about that. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can text us 608-321-1670. You can hit us up on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, watch the show there, and subscribe for free. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. We're on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant on the app, which is Wisco Sports Zone. 3 words, put them all together. Wisco Sports Zone. You can find us there. Also, email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Thebillmichaels.com is the website. We're on all the social media platforms as well, and that is Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok under the Bill Michaels Show. Same thing over there on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app. And you can catch the television show that airs on Saturday nights, 8 o'clock Central Time. That is My 24 TV in Milwaukee. That is My 24 TV in Milwaukee. You can find all the information and all the programming right there as well. Grant Bills, how the hell you doing today, man? What's going on?
I'm doing good because I went to bed before the end of the Brewer game last night. So smart decision.
Yeah.
Didn't miss much. So.
Nothing ever really materialized last night. No, it felt like a West Coast trip. It really did. It felt like a West Coast trip last night.
It looked like a team that had been sitting on the tarmac, which I guess they were, according to Pat Murphy. I saw that this morning. So,
right.
And Brandon Sproat didn't look good. I know the results were fine. He had a quality start and, 3 runs in 6 innings, but he just looked like the same kind of messy all over the place guy. So there was no positive development there. Interested and excited to finally get into some Packers stuff. Does Matt LaFleur speak today? Clemens was telling us this yesterday. They weren't really sure, but I thought he was supposed to take the podium. I'm not entirely sure.
I thought he was supposed to, but I don't know.
I thought so too. The Packers have, they were waiting on some details, Clemens said yesterday, but I need training camp to start. Like, I'm excited. I was reading a Spoon story this morning and just everybody kind of putting out their training camp primers. I'm with you and Bukowski from yesterday. I need some real Packers stuff to talk about.
I was very interested by what was not said yesterday. That was really interesting. That was, to me, not giving the length of contract. Again, we'll find out eventually at some point. Somebody will put it out there, or somebody will say, "Hey, this is what's going on," or whatever regarding contracts and all that stuff. Eventually,
this is what it's believed to be by
correct.
People in the know, or we'll get that at some point.
You won't get the details, but you'll get the details. Somebody will find out. But yeah, it's really interesting that they didn't give the length, that he did not give, Ed Policy did not give that backing. Now, on one hand, okay, you can say, well, if that was the request of both LaFleur and Goody, okay, I get it. That way you don't have last year's situation arise. Because that way nobody has to talk publicly about it, and Ed Policy doesn't have to be asked about it. But my guess is this. This is just me. My guess is it's short term. And if it's short term, that means we can cut ties at any time. Which we would, if he says, hey, we gave him each a 2-year contract extension, that's not a giant vote of confidence. And therefore, we're looking at this going, boy, do you feel it? Because all the questions then come up. Hey, Matt, he only gave you 2 years. Do you feel like you're under the gun? And then all those questions come up. That if he would have given him 5 years, 4 or 5 years, my guess is he said, these guys are locked up. They're here for the future. We believe in them, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't even really address it and moved on. And that was rather interesting. I'm going to say significant. And if you have not seen it already, Tom Silverstein, Spoon, wrote a terrific piece in the Journal Sentinel. Terrific piece, and went over the whole situation basically, and then just kind of laid it out and said, like, look, the fact that they didn't go down that avenue, they didn't get into the details. At least to say, hey, these two are tied at the hip. These two are announced that this is how long it's going to be. It's just Spoon and I were thinking the exact same thing. When I went back and listened to that yesterday afternoon, I was really intrigued. I kind of went, huh? Wait a minute, what? And kind of had my eyebrows raised a little, because that's just, you just don't really do that.
If you haven't read Silverstein's story, and hopefully we can get him on, or we can read you a little bit of it, but to me, the whole thing translates to, I don't know if Ed Policy is really reading the room right now. I don't know if he's got a good feeling for how his fan base feels, what their frustrations are.
Yeah.
You know, and this goes back to when they extended Matt LaFleur, and Ed Policy, and I don't really blame him for this, but said, I was shocked that some Packers fans would think otherwise. You know what I mean? Like, it goes back to that. And then also, when they haven't won the division in 5 years now, and they haven't won a Super Bowl in, we're getting closer to 20 years than to 15 or 10, to be, crying about public funding and stadium. It just, to me, that whole column was a critique of Ed Policy and the Packers' failure to read the room.
Right.
But I think that's what it boils down to.
What Spoon said, he said, if they listen closely, in between their "Go Pack Go" chant and the Bears still suck chants, and amid the slew of team reports touting the great health of the franchise, there were lines to be read, subjects left unaddressed, and propaganda to ponder. And then, obviously he talks about the extended contracts of Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur. He admitted the Packers weren't happy with the way the season ended and emphasized that the franchise number one goal is to win football games. He patted his lead football operatives on the back figuratively, especially given LaFleur wasn't even present, while simultaneously refusing to reveal just how much confidence he had in either. If he was proud of his decision, he would have told people, to whom the Packers like to call the owners, just how far that commitment goes. I love the fact that he goes back to, he quotes Bob Harlan. And he says, former President Bob Harlan once said in an interview that he forced the then general manager Ted Thompson to announce the length of his new head coach contract hire, Mike McCarthy, back in 2006. He said, because, quote, it emphasized his commitment to him and the team. President Mark Murphy announced the extensions of McCarthy and Thompson in 2011 and 2014 as well. It was Gutekunst and LaFleur's wishes, remember, that he would not even confirm that he had even re-upped both of them during the 2022 offseason. So this might be where Ed Policy said, okay, I'll just follow in Mark Murphy's footsteps and not announce it. But remember, Bob Harlan felt it was necessary because he said, I wanted to show what our commitment was to the coach, and the team knew what the commitment was to the head coach as well. So he was here to stay. In other words, the head coach rules the roost. He's the guy. So don't think that in a year, if you're disgruntled or if you don't play great, you're going to get rid of this guy. We've got a commitment to him. I kind of agree with Bob. But I can also understand if Gutekunst and LaFleur don't want it out there, because then they have to go through what they went through last year. Hey, you guys are coming up on contract. You guys have this going on. Do you feel like your job's in jeopardy? And you get a lot of those questions. So I get it. But it's just a little odd when in Spoon cites numerous other teams, many other teams that announced their general manager and head coach. They don't announce the details of the deal, but they certainly say, here's how long we've signed them for, and this is what their contract runs through. I found it interesting that was not there. He did address, by the way, which was great, and Spoon's article gave a really good breakdown of what we've talked about in regards to the business side of things and the team and how much money they have, and that the team isn't going anywhere anytime soon, which is what we discussed. But Ed Policy did talk about the business side of things, kind of in a hey, we're going to position ourselves like, hey, we got to be viable. We got to have these things if we want to stay this operative business franchise, and we need this flexible lease with the city so we can, live at Lambeau Field for the rest of our tenure. And, he did break that down extremely, extremely well. So I appreciated that, because it's a much better job of doing it than what we've done, or I've done, even going back to when we were talking about the Mike Florio stuff the other day. So last week, so really good stuff there. But it was a very interesting shareholders meeting, because I was really waiting because I thought to myself, well, they're going to announce at least the length of the contracts. I mean, that's a no brainer. You're going to do that. And so we got off the air, and I went back And I had some errands to run. I thought, okay. And I grabbed my phone and I turned it on and I started listening to it beginning to end, the replay. And I didn't hear it. I'm like, well, that's a little bizarre. So anyway, so we got all of this coming up today. We're going to talk a little bit about. We've got people that are going to start out on the PUP list, which we know Micah Parsons is going to be. There's others that are going to be there as well as news comes out of Green Bay. So stay tuned. We got a whole lot to break down today. We are diving a little bit back into football as the veterans report today. The rookies were there yesterday, and everybody hits the field for camp beginning tomorrow. Stay tuned. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Dollar Loan Center. Dollar Loan Center. Dollar Loan Center.
Hey, Chuck, what type of loans do you offer at Dollar Loan Center in Madison? We offer no collateral, signature loans up to $5,000, and the process normally takes less than an hour. We do this at all our locations, or our customers can complete the entire loan process at don'tbebroke.com to save even more time. And when their loan is approved, we do instant funding to the account of their choice or give them cash.
Up to $5,000 cash in minutes? I'm in.
It's free to apply, and new customers get the first week's interest on us. And we charge by the day, so they can pay off quickly to save a lot of money or keep the money for up to a year.
Dollar Loan Center loves Madison and lends up to $5,000 in minutes. Stop by in Janesville, Beloit, and Beaver Dam to meet our real friendly staff. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed and regulated by the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval. Limitations may apply. See website for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Michaels Show. We are back. Tuesday edition. This portion of it brought to you by our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. BurnPitBBQ.com. BurnPitBBQ.com. They have the sauces, the rubs, the hot sauces. You see them all over. They're out and about in the summertime like crazy. I mean, everywhere. Festivals, cook-offs. They were down at Rib Fest down in Walworth County. They're going to be at the Wisconsin State Fair as well. Look for them, by the way, inside the Expo Center at the Wisconsin State Fair. I know they've got a booth there, so it's going to be a lot of good stuff, a lot of good tastings going on over there at Burn Pit Barbecue. Go to burnpitbbq.com. Tell them we said hi. Tell Greg and Ben, tell them we said hi, and go. You know them now. Go up to Greg and Ben and say, hey, which one's Greg? Which one's Ben? Hey, thanks for being a part of the program, but more so than anything, you got some really good stuff, and we appreciate it specifically around Christmas time when you order online and they turn that gift box around in about a couple of days. The next thing you know, boom, it's right there. All you got to do is wrap it up, put it under the tree, and you're good to go. That is burnpitbbq.com, and don't forget, thank them for their service too, because both of them are veterans. Burnpitbbq.com, based right here in the state of Wisconsin. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Coming up bottom of the hour, Chuck Freimund is going to be heading on with us, heading to the program. We'll talk with him about the Brewers this past week. The Miz, obviously, kind of a disappointing start to the road trip yesterday, but nevertheless, it's one game. It's one game. Out of the 920, hey, Bill, this is Hayden from Green Bay, and I'm 12 years old and a diehard Packers fan. And yesterday I went fishing with my dad and met Edrin Cooper. It was the best experience of my life, and I could see in his eyes that it meant something to him. The past 2 weeks have been super cool. I went to the Brewers game against the Mets when Peralta pitched and saw Miz pitch and saw Pratt's first homer, and now have met Edrin Cooper. That is Hayden, 12 years old from Green Bay. Man, you the man. That is, you're like on a sports whirlwind right now. So my question is, when you went fishing, were you just like in a stream walking around, or a farm pond walking around, or you're out in the river? How'd you meet Edrin Cooper? I'd love to know that. Going to the game, that's one thing. Seeing those things, that's great highlights. But you're just going fishing, and next thing you know, there's Edrin Cooper. I'd love to know how that happened. Good stuff. Hey, Bill, I'm heading up to out of the 563. Hey, Bill, I'm heading up to training camp this week. I think the Packers did a nice job this year acquiring new free agents and did a pretty good job in the draft. I'm excited to learn all the new players, but why do I have this gut feeling we do not have the right coach to put it all together? Just want to get your thoughts. Thanks, Bill, Darren, and Keeler. Darren, I think it's very easily explainable. And the explanation is this. The last time you saw him on the field, it was a gut punch. I mean, it was an absolute kick to the sack, a gut punch beyond gut punch. And you've seen the seventh seed on numerous occasions. You've seen failure in big moments, like going back to the NFC Championship game at Lambeau Field when they decided to kick the field goal instead of go for it. We've seen this. So now you think to yourself, okay, you got good players, you got these pieces in place, you should be ready to go. Does Matt LaFleur exude enough confidence, and will he actually do all gas, no effing break? Or is it going to be all gas until we take a punch in the face, and then it's like deer in the headlights? Does that happen over again? Because history has repeated itself now. So until it changes, you're going to feel that way. A lot of people are going to feel that way. A lot of Packers fans feel that way. I get it all the time. If there is not a conversation regarding the Packers that goes by at least once a week, especially in the offseason, it's always, what is this guy? Is he good? Is this guy going to be good? Is he going to make this better? Oh, by the way, is Matt LaFleur going to change? Is Matt LaFleur going to actually go for it? Is Matt LaFleur going to get tougher? There's always is Matt LaFleur, and then fill in the blank. And it's because of what we've seen in recent history. So that's the reason. I understand it. So I always say my answer is the same. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope so. I certainly hope that things are better. I certainly hope that he's got something different up his sleeve, if there's a different mode of training, if there's a different mode of practice, if there's, I don't know. We'll know when we see it, right? We'll know when we see it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Like I said, we're going to go back to Brewers baseball at the bottom of the hour. Chuck Freeman's going to join us, and we'll get back into a lot of this stuff. This one's from Randy. Randy early on says, great topic as to why they would not tell you how much faith they have in the general manager and the head coach. It tells you everything you need to know. They don't. He goes on to say, I think the fact that they only gave them probably a short-term deal and did not want to announce that because most fans would say, see, I told you so. They're on a short leash, and they didn't want that to get out. I think Ed Policy took a serious look at these two guys and thought, let's run it back one more time, and if it doesn't work, then we can possibly clean house. He goes on to say, I don't think that Goody has put together a great team, but a better team than what I expected, and certainly better talent on this team than what Matt LaFleur's results have been. Goody should feel a little bit embarrassed as well that he's put this decent team together only to hand it over to a guy whose complete incompetence and cowardness has not been able to get a team to fight back, especially late in ball games. Appreciate the email. I'm not going to say with cowardice. Let's not go there. I'm not going to get into the name calling thing. Let's not do that. But
I think at times last season there was indifference. They had a team that was like, whatever. We're not going to win this week. We're probably not going to win next week. I don't think they were cowardly. I think they had lost, not lost faith. They had just let go of the rope because of all the injuries and because of some of the games they lost. And if you want to hammer a coach on that, absolutely. But I don't think it's because they were pusses or they were cowards or anything like that.
Right. Hey, that's a good term, is that you just let go of the rope. You know, you just kind of thought we're pulling. And the next thing you know, you're like, okay, we lost our anchors. We don't have a shot. Okay.
And that's why the 49ers are always the example I look at last year. Like they lost just as many guys.
Right.
And they fought and they kept winning games and they lost in the playoffs too. And this is going to sound like a trivial, stupid thing, but to me, it's not. They won a playoff game in Philly and then ran into a buzzsaw against which they were no longer equipped to win. And that's probably what would have happened to the Packers too. But I would have preferred that.
Right.
I would prefer you beat your rival in the wild card game when you're up 21-3, and then you go lose in Seattle to a much better, healthier team. That's how your season should have ended.
I completely agree. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Cousins Subs. And if you're thinking about it today might not be a bad day. Today you got lower humidity. You're going to get up to about 75 to 80 today. Maybe get a little outside or go for lunch or just take it easy. That's Cousins Subs. I'm going to sit up later tonight, watch the game. And I don't know if I'm going to do Cousins. I'm kind of thinking about it, though. But I know I'm getting it tomorrow on the road because I'm getting out of here. Boom. I'm going to grab some Cousins Subs on the way out of town and off to Door County. So that's going to be dinner tomorrow night for sure. Check out our friends at Cousins Subs, whether you got a meeting and you need the big sub box or it's just for you and your own guilty pleasures, whatever it happens to be. Get the curds or the fries or get those shakes. Those shakes are so good. The chocolate shake is fantastic. Check out our friends at Cousins Subs. Back in 1972, right here in the state of Wisconsin, they said, hey, let's do this. And they've been successful ever since. Go to cousinsubs.com for all the information. Don't forget they deliver as well. That is our friends at Cousins Subs. Cousins Subs. Go to cousinsubs.com.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Punch out 12 out of 13. That's pretty impressive. There's nothing more impressive than that, I don't think. But I could say that, he looked good, but punching out 12 out of 13 is a pretty good sign.
Pat Murphy right there. Talking about the Miz from the other day, and unfortunately, they did not get the win last night. Weren't punching out a bunch of players last evening for the San Francisco. They didn't have a bad outing. It was just a runless game for the Milwaukee Brewers. They get playing 3-0. Back at it again tonight. Joining us now on the hotline from the Locked On Brewers podcast, it is our own Chuck Freimund. Chucker, how you doing, pal?
It's kind of like the calm before the storm before Packers season.
I know.
The Brewers are putting on the back. The Brewers aren't on the back burner now, are they? Everybody always
no.
The Packers season goes on. Everybody's talking about the Packers.
Yeah.
Of course, the Packers are always going to be number one in the state, right?
Yeah, the Packers are always going to be number one, but no, I can't imagine the Brewers going to the back burner at this point. I was saying yesterday that, and I did a piece for the Quick Trip Pumps, and one of the interesting things that was stated, I was talking to some of the people there, and even the most casual of sports fan, and there's a couple of girls in the marketing department, even the most casual of sports fan are enthralled every time Miz goes to the Hill. I said, it's must-see TV. So, I mean, with what they're doing, the young guys that are coming up, I got to tell you, Chuck, I always said this yesterday. I'm pumped that for two reasons. One is that obviously they're winning, and they've started off the second unofficial second half of the season just on fire, and it's been great. And Miz is on fire. But I love the fact that when they brought Laura up, it kind of gave, because Cooper Pratt's in that clubhouse and he's looking around at all these guys that are big leaguers, and they're expecting him to do something. I mean, you're the guy they paid, you're the guy they brought up, and he's pressing, and you could clearly see it. And then Laura comes up, and now that's one of his guys from down in the minors who's now getting his opportunity too. So these guys get to go through the trenches now together. They can bounce. They're close. They've got that relationship where everybody else is kind of looking at you going, hey, we believe in you. You're a part of the team. It's great. We want to make you welcome, but you got to produce. And he was struggling. And the minute Laura got here, all of a sudden, boom, both guys take off. And Laura has got some energy. When that cat does something, I love the fact that he's pumped up. He's flexing up. He's screaming and yelling. I haven't seen that since CeCe Sabathia got here when they made a trade for him. So I love it. I'm in. I love the youth. I love the energy. I love the fatherly figure that governs all of this. I love the Miz story. There's so much good stuff going on. It's exciting to watch. It's must-see TV.
It is. And the Brewers, Bill, do have, I would say, I mean, the Dodgers have won their pennants, right? And they've won their World Series titles. But the Brewers have one of the best organizations in baseball. And now somebody's going to say, well, the Brewers haven't been to the World Series since 1982. But, I mean, there's a lot of things to like about the Milwaukee Brewers. Everything you mentioned there, they got a great farm system. They got front office guys who are really good scouts. They're great at international scouting. They have, their farm system is just amazing. There's so many things going right where other organizations, I'm sure, look at the Brewers and say, how come we can't be more like these guys over there? How are they doing it with the low payroll and they're winning, 26 games over the 500 mark? It is. The only thing that's missing is October success, Bill. And, every year I keep thinking that this is going to be the year, and I'm still haven't given up hope. Right. That this isn't going to be the year, but I still do think they have a real good. It's fun. It's a great organization. One thing, Bill. It's a very family-friendly organization with the players and the team, and the staff, and all that. It's very, very They welcome in, and it's also funny that many players, even Contreras, initially did not want to come to Milwaukee when he got traded here. But once he got here, it's like, oh, man, home sweet home. I love it here.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. And that's the cool thing is I've said that all along, that it's the culture that has been created that makes this so cool. That these guys, and you're in that locker room as much as anybody. I mean, it's the fact that all these guys genuinely enjoy one another. I go back to the Ken Makas and all the other ones that have been through this system, and all the other managers. There always seemed to be, like, on one side you'd have the Latino guys, on the other side you'd have black guys, on the other side you'd have white guys, and they were all teammates, but you all had all these cliques. And you don't have that in this clubhouse. I mean, it started really kind of with Craig Counsell to a certain extent, but it's been even grown upon with Pat Murphy. But it's just everybody's for everybody. Now, obviously, Latin players that are more comfortable speaking Spanish than it is English. I mean, they have that verbiage together. Mm-hmm. But it's all these guys just love hanging out.
And they're all under the age of 30. They're, even the Turangs, the Freelicks, a couple of years older than some of these young guys. So, it really is. You had two guys on this team really north of 30, and that's Woodruff and Yelich. And, you do need some, the question is, do they have enough veteran leadership? But these guys have, some of the younger guys have taken leadership on this team. And, it's just a great group. I think back, you were talking about, some of the, maybe 10 years ago, when Matt Garza pitched, win or lose, you always just dreaded going up to his locker and having to interview him.
Right.
Because he was just an ornery guy. Brewers really don't have any. They don't have any of those type of guys on this team. All pretty much good guys to deal with. They embrace the fans and all that. And, that just makes it that much more fun to cover a team like that.
So I want to go to the young guys and the way they're hitting. Laura's obviously playing a really solid center field. And that guy's got some serious wheels, doesn't he? I mean, this team just breeds speed, arm, and talent. And if they don't get the power, so be it. I still go back to the statistics of looking at this team saying 4th best on base percentage, 6th best batting average. They got all these statistics, stolen bases, but they're the worst when it comes to hitting home runs, but yet they're scoring some of the most runs in all of baseball, and they're the 2nd best record in all of baseball. Then the question becomes, is it sustainable? And I gave a statistic yesterday, which I thought was interesting. And this wasn't necessarily, me being brilliant in any particular way. It was actually somebody that had sent us the notes, but basically saying that this team is just a tick above 500 when they don't hit a home run. They're 23 and 22. And when they do hit one, they're 43 and 18, which still brings me back to, do they have to find a legitimate power hitter, or the fact that Vaughn has now got a couple of dingers after the All-Star break? Pratt has heated up a little bit. You've still got guys that can hit like Bowers, and you still got guys that can maybe get hot, like Churio in the outfield, or even Contreras behind the plate. Do they still have to find a bat with that type of statistic hanging over their head?
I really do. As much as I like Laura, as much as you do, his power, there's not going to be a lot of power in right field, just like there was with Freelick. So I think somewhere you do have to have, and Vaughn hasn't been hitting the home runs. He's hitting for average, but he's only got, 4 home runs or so. He's hit 2 in the last week. Mm-hmm. But they need more power, and I think that's what they have to do here in the next few days, Bill. There's one name I've been putting out there in the C.J. Abrams of the Nationals. Now, the Nationals, it sounds like they're not willing to trade unless they are bowled over on a deal. He's got 25 home runs in the season, and he could play some third base, I'm hoping, even though he hasn't played this yet this year. But, he played third base for Milwaukee. But the Brewers need to get, I do think, some pop on this team. It's a lot easier to win when you can have the guy come up like Willie Adames used to do, the king of the 3-run home run, and hit that 3-run blast instead of going station to station to station. You'd like to have someone to jack one once in a while. It's funny because the Brewers will go, a few games without hitting a home run, and then they'll come up and they'll hit 3 in a game. The other night they had 9 doubles in a game, 9 extra base hits. Funny, Sunday they have 9 extra base hits, score 11 runs. Last night they couldn't get out of their own way, and they only had 3 hits. So sometimes it is a little of this saying goes feast or famine with these guys. But at the end of the day, I think the stats all prove that you need to have a couple of guys in that lineup who can hit. It's funny, Bill, in the minor league system, they have a bunch of guys who can hit home runs. They're just not ready for the majors yet.
Right. Yeah, you can see that there's more than a few guys down there that are starting to rake, and I know fans want to see them, but you can't first of all, you can't start the clock on everybody at once, and you can't bring everybody up at once. Mm-hmm. And then you got to have subsequent moves. So right now, who are you sending down? What the hell, other than competition and Cooper Pratt coming up, what the hell has happened to Joey Ortiz? My God, he's Superman. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the deal. It's now that he's hitting. Do you look at it and you say, well, Joey's hitting right now, so maybe we don't need a third baseman.
Right.
I wouldn't go down that route because I feel like those things always subside a little bit. And I would not let that preclude me from going out and getting a third baseman. I think we've seen enough sample size that with Joey, you can't look at it and say, well, now Joey all of a sudden has found it. He's ready to go. He's had the pressure taken off from shortstop. I wouldn't look at it that way. You got to get yourself another third baseman. And Joey becomes a utility guy on this team, and that's just the way it is. I think they need themselves a power-hitting third baseman, if you could find one. And I do think they need another bat where this kid, they bring somebody in, a guy who can play either the outfield and DH a little bit because Yelich just is not getting the job done. You need really 2 bats in this team. I'm looking at it, and maybe another pitcher. So we'll see how in the trading deadline right now. It's Monday, Bill, but right now it's pretty quiet. Nobody's really doing anything.
Right, and that's just it. There's nothing going on. There's a lot of rumors floating around out there, obviously, but there's nothing. I'll say this: a lot of the top trade candidates It's going to go down to the last minute. I mean, we all know that there could be a game or two that needs to be played that before they say, hey, we're definitely going to be trading Skubal, or Byron Buxton from the Twins. They're talking about the center fielder, it possibly being on the open market, but the Twins are probably saying, no, Joe Ryan, maybe, so I think a lot of this is going to come down to maybe Sunday night. And then we're going to start reading about it early on Monday, and when some of these deals finally do go down. But I agree with you. I'd love to see a power hitting third baseman that would be on the open market that they could possibly garner. But I was going through some of the top ones, and Jeff Passan was talking about these guys. The only third baseman that is like legitimately being dangled out there is Eugenio Suarez. And who the hell wants him? Because he's having a bad season in Cincinnati. You know what I mean?
He's starting to heat up here he's starting to heat up here in the last week or so. He's heating up, but the Reds aren't obviously going to deal him to Milwaukee within the same division. Well, what's happening? Why there's no movement out there is you have the expanded playoffs, and if you look at the American League, Bill, there's nobody who really stands out there. Everybody, for the most part, thinks they're still in this thing and has a chance of going to the World Series.
Right.
You look at Tampa. And then the Yankees, and then the White Sox are in first place in their division. Texas is a couple of games over the 500 mark, and they're in first place in the American League West. So a lot of these teams aren't very good, but because they're still in it, they're not willing to trade.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what do you tell your fan base if you're only a couple of games out of the wild card spot that we're giving up? I know the guy from the Astros, the guy that can play third and first, Isaac Paredes or.
Isaac Paredes.
Yeah, Isaac Paredes. Yeah. He's another name that's been kicked around a little bit. I saw on Jeff Passan's podcast that he was talking about the Brewers possibly being involved in that. So I don't know for sure. I mean, that really hasn't taken on too much heat as of late, but that's still one of those areas that's the only other guy that's out there that I've looked at that I could say, oh, well, there's Max Chapman from the Giants. He's a guy that I think is being dangled around out there as far as a third baseman goes. But that's really kind of about it. The need for that corner third base power hitting guy, I think there's quite a few teams that have it. There's just not too many teams that are willing to give it up.
No, and Paredes, if the Astros want the Brewers to depart with a couple of top 100 prospects, they're kidding themselves.
Right. Exactly.
He's not having a great year. Is he much better than what the Brewers have right now? Chapman is.
Exactly.
But as Paredes, so that's what you always look at yourself too. It's like, wow, we were going to prospects, but man, is there really much of an upgrade? Some of these guys who are out there.
Yeah.
But maybe more somebody else becomes available. That's why I like Abrams. And it just sounds like the Nats aren't willing to part with him. So then, if you pivot, then if you say, well, you can't get any more offense from this team, and you look at pitching, and Skubal, I don't know. It just seems I'm getting more and more the vibe that he is not going to become available. That's the Brewers.
What do you think about Freddie Peralta and all the rumors about Freddie coming back to Milwaukee?
Well, I do. I like that idea. Now, the thing about it is, yesterday's prices aren't today's prices for
damn straight.
The Mets said, well, if the Mets said, well, okay, let's pretend that trade never happened.
If there was a lemon law in baseball, it would have happened. The Brewers would have got him back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the Mets said, well, let's just trade what we gave you. And Matt Arnold would say, sorry, David Stearns, but that's not happening because Peralta's 5-10. But I still think, though, the Brewers are interested. It sounds like they're one of the more interested teams out there for Freddie.
Yeah.
And I don't see why the Mets would not trade him. But again, I'm not giving up a top 100 prospect. I'm not giving Jet Williams back. I'm not giving away Burke. I'm not giving away a few of these guys who aren't even in the top 10 or top even 11 or 12.
Right.
But Freddie, the guy who intrigues me most, and I said this in my podcast, is Mason Miller in San Diego. He's a closer. And what I like about this is if you trade for a closer, at least he's a guy you could use a handful of times every week.
Right.
You get Freddie, or if you got Skubal, you're pitching them once every 5 days. So what's they're not going to, if they get Skubal, they're not pitching him every 3 days like they did with Sabathia back in 2008.
Right.
But I think you get yourself a closer, you stack him up there and you shorten up the game a little bit.
Chuck, where do they find you, my friend?
Bill, as always, on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you download your audio podcast for the #1 Brewers podcast on the internet. Of course, our growing YouTube page as well. Search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. That alerts you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers on YouTube. All the content, as always, free. Just like my appearance every Tuesday, spilling out, talking sports with you, talking Brewers baseball with you. Bill, you are the leader for one reason. And when you said you're not a genius or anything, don't sell yourself short of that one, Bill.
I'm a tremendous slouch.
Don't sell yourself short.
Tremendous slouch. I was on
County
Caddyshack the other night, too. I saw that. I kind of giggled. So, yeah, I'm a tremendous slouch.
Are you going to State? Are you going to be out at State Fair this year?
We'll be out there on Thursday and Friday when it kicks off. Yes, I'll be out there those first 2 days at the Goose Island Ale House.
Fantastic.
Yes. Be out there, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
You and Shannon swing by. I know
Fantastic.
you always make an appearance at State Fair.
Yeah. I even a couple of times. So I will hopefully catch you out there one of those days.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
You got it, Bill.
You the man. See you. Chuck Freimund joining us for a couple of minutes on the hotline, on the Schneider Big Orange hotline. Thanks to Chuck for stopping by. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends over there at Robert's Specialty Meats. I did this yesterday. Last night I told you I was grilling. I got 2 Al Capone. Well, I got actually 2 packs of Al Capone sausages, but I had 2 of them on the grill last night. Al Capone sausages. So good. Grilled them up. My friend Joey Albanese, who used to have an Italian restaurant, he doesn't anymore. He does a lot of catering now, but he's got Albanese sauces, which Albanese's spaghetti sauce, marinara sauce, and everything is in Sendix. And I was craving it. So I went and picked up a jar of that just to see if it still tasted like the restaurant. It does. Oh, it's so good. So I got the Al Capone sausage, grilled them up, put them on the plate. I got some of the Albanese sauce, took that, put it over top of the Al Capone sausages. Okay, no bun, carb-free here. And then I grated in thick grates my own Parmesan cheese. And then I popped it into the microwave for about 15 seconds just to let the cheese melt. Oh, my God. There was some orgasmic food stuff right there. It was foodgasm. It was that good. Guys, it all started with the Al Capone sausages from down there at our friends at Robert's Specialty Meats in Waukesha. On Sunset Drive in Waukesha, whether it's that, steaks, chops, whatever it happens to be, he's got something good for everybody. Stop in and tell Paul Roberts we said hi, or go to robertsspecialtymeatswaukesha.com, and you too can have the foodgasm.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program, The Bill Michaels Show. This portion of it brought to you by Game Day Men's Health. I've been telling you about my quest to get fit. I mean, it started a few months ago. I'm down 27 pounds as of today. Between the testosterone, which has been fantastic, and the peptides and such, it has just been awesome. And I've got friends that have gone there now. I had a buddy of mine, Ben, who I just saw down at bike night last Thursday night, who said, Bill, it's been life-changing, the testosterone. It's been amazing. He sleeps better. He feels better. He has more energy. And I said, there you go. All you got to do is go in and get your numbers checked. If you're over the age of 30, I've been saying, just go get taken a look at it. If you're tired all the time, if you got ED, obviously erectile dysfunction, but if you're looking for weight loss, if you're looking for muscular, definition, if you're looking for more energy, there's just a bevy of things. I go to see Jennifer at the one out in Delafield. There's also a location in Brookfield. There's locations all over the city of Milwaukee area, New Berlin and Hales Corners and all that kind of stuff. They're all over the state of Wisconsin. I can't say enough about Game Day Men's Health. I really can't. The quest to get fit, and people talk about it all the time. They say you look different. So, that's the best compliment of all. I continually tell you, Game Day Men's Health. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. It's literally life-changing. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. And yes, for everybody that asks me, do you really do that? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. We've got another 3 hours of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. You can change your life, not just by listening to this show, but go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers opened up their series against the Giants out in San Francisco last night, losing 3-0. Brewers starting pitcher Brandon Sprout would take the loss. He would go 6 innings, giving up 6 hits, 3 earned runs while striking out 5. And offensively, Milwaukee could only collect 3 hits on the night, 1 from Jackson Cheerio, 1 from Jake Bowers, and 1 from Andrew Vaughn. Milwaukee now sits 66-40 on the year, 6 games above the Cubs for first place in the NL Central. Back at it tonight in San Francisco against the Giants. First pitch coming at 8:45. Turning to the Packers, yesterday saw Green Bay's president and CEO Ed Policy address shareholders at their annual shareholders meeting inside Lambeau Field. Policy touched on extending the contracts of Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, and Russ Paul. On a new documentary on the Packers coming out this year, Bob Harlan's name going up in Lambeau in October, and the Packers won't be selling naming rights to Lambeau Field.
Again, we are not going to be renaming Lambeau Field, but we would also look at other, very significant components of our campus, including potentially looking at our practice facility.
On the field, the veterans report today for training camp, then tomorrow will be their first practice.
For nearly 40 years, ABC of Wisconsin has been helping men and women transform themselves into well-paid, productive members of their construction teams. Today, we have 2,000 active apprentices in 10 different skilled trade programs, and we educate individuals in more trades than anyone else. To get your career started, go to buildyourcareerwi.org or just search online for ABC of Wisconsin.
The media is not too high in Wisconsin football's chances to get things turned around this fall. Cleveland.com put out its annual preseason Big Ten poll yesterday. Had the Badgers finishing 12th in the conference. Coach Luke Fickell and a few players, they're in Chicago for Big Ten Media Days today. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in, hour number 2 of the Bill Michaels Show on this Tuesday edition. So glad you're with us. We certainly appreciate you being here. And by the way, I got to say right away, and I was called out again. And I apologize for all of our friends over there in the cheap seats.
There's nothing like the view from the cheap seats.
All of you who watch the program each and every day, can't do it without you. We thank you for being here each and every damn day over there in the live stream, sharing ideas, thoughts, and opinions, and paying attention to us. Thank you so much over in the live stream. If you want to get a hold of us via the phone, you can, 877-867-1670. You can text us, 608-321-1670. If you want to find us on YouTube, watch us for free. Subscribe for free, youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Find Grant at Wisco Grant. Our app is Wisco Sports Zone, Wisco Sports Zone. You can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok on the social media platforms, The Bill Michaels Show. You can also find us on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well, and our television show, which airs on Sunday nights, 8 o'clock Central Time, on My 24 TV in Milwaukee. That is My 24 TV in Milwaukee. There you go. So hit us up there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, great way to do so. We were talking in the last hour about the Packers. We were talking about Tom Silverstein, which, by the way, Tom Silverstein, who wrote the fantastic column today. It's in the Journal Sentinel, talking about the shareholders meeting and kind of what you didn't hear. And he brings it to the forefront. And I appreciate that, because it was a lot of the same thinking that I had in regards to, I was waiting to hear certain things. Now, I wanted to hear about the business side of the Green Bay Packers, and I think all of us were, right? And it really, for the most part, kind of put to bed the stuff that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago that was merely brought up by Ed Policy as an, oh, by the way, in the interview when he first took over regarding the business of the Packers, okay? And then to announce, well, we're not going to sell the naming rights. Lambeau Field is going to remain Lambeau Field, and it's the icon that it is and always will be. There's other gates to be named, other things that can be named. We understand all of that. But we understand better the business side, the depth of what the Packers have, and as long as they have, the revenue share, and as long as they have that the antitrust, then they should be okay. Okay, we understand all of that. And also, there's some positioning going on regarding the new lease that the Packers are looking to garner out of the city of Green Bay, and there's some discussions there as well. So we get it, okay? But I was looking forward to finding out what the extensions were, the length of time for the head coach and the general manager, and that was not given. Other than to say that, yeah, they're signed. We believe in them. How are we looking? You're kind of like, okay, for how long? We're not going to get the details of money, but how long? They're signed. How are we looking? And that was it. So it was somewhat interesting that was not disclosed at the shareholders meeting. I thought that was really interesting. So 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. What did you, if anything, get out of that yesterday? By the way, we have some news. The Packers have signed a kicker. It's a 3-man competition. In other words, oh, by the way, if the kicker we drafted doesn't work out, we've got some guys in our basket. Now, Harvasek obviously is there, but Lenny Craig is also now been signed. So that's a 3-man kicking competition between Trey Smack, which is the 6th round draft choice, Lucas Harvasek, who kicked in a few games last season in place of Brandon McManus. And now Craig from Berlin, Germany. And as Bill Huber puts, he burned out on soccer. Craig took up the American game at the urging of his brother, who spent time in the United States. He learned how to kick through while watching YouTube videos. And Craig kicked for the Stuttgart Surge in the European Football League. The potential he showed there got him an invite to the NFL's International Player Pathway Program. So he quit school and his job in real estate, and he focused on a far-flung goal, as Bill Huber puts it. So Craig made all 14 attempts in the NFL scouting combine in 2025. He was the only kicker who didn't miss. And he was better than most Americans. One scout was telling ESPN. A couple of weeks later, Kraft's performance at the IPP Pro Day led to a visit with the Atlanta Falcons. He ended up signing there. The Falcons special teams coordinator, Marquise Williams, was at the scouting combine, and Craig drilled one kick after the other without even knowing the name of the holder. No complaining, no excuse. He just went out and did his business. And then Craig signed a 3-year contract with the Falcons. Craig spent training camp with the Falcons, but was released at the end of training camp. In the preseason, he made only an extra point attempt, as well as a 57-yard field goal. He spent the season on Atlanta's practice squad and then signed a futures contract with the Jets after the season. But he was released by New York back in June, so the Packers have now scooped him up. So they've got a guy named Craig. Lenny Craig is in the Packers fold now. So you've got a new kicker, or
Sounds
at least
like the guy who would play bass in Fog Hat. That's what that makes me think of.
Yeah.
Jason Hirschhorn tweeting this, and Bukowski shared it, which is why I saw it. He says, if the Packers do sign Lenny Craig, I wonder if that means the end for either Havlicek or Dante Barnett. Teams don't usually carry 3 kickers in training camp, but Craig could also take the international roster exemption currently used on Barnett. They've done that with kickers in the past. So,
yeah.
We'll see if they're actually intent on doing 3 kickers. They seem to like Harvasek. I mean, he's still here.
Yeah.
So they must Havlicek. They must still like him enough to. I mean, look, I think Smack's going to be the kicker. So I guess I'm just interested to see how they're going to set up this competition and keep up appearances for the next couple of weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get the sense of this. This is just my thought, that Smack is your kicker until he's not. And the battle for the practice squad is between Harvasek and Craig. And we know Harvasek, we watched him. He had a pretty solid season for the little amount of time that he had to kick. The problem was, when he hit New York in the wind and he started missing kicks, that's when everybody went from, you got to bring Harvasek back, to get rid of this bum. And so now you've got Craig coming in, who's got this pretty strong leg and who has not missed. And this guy is going to put pressure on Harvasek, and one of those two guys is going to end up on the practice squad, unless, of course, Trey Smack just doesn't have it, just can't figure it out. Because the winds inside Lambeau Field specifically are somewhat tricky to navigate. And we'll see if he can. But I think Trey Smack has the job, and the other 2 kickers are vying for the spot on the practice squad. So we'll see. But that's just my take, which is not a bad thing. And if Trey Smack doesn't have it, you can always – I don't think Trey Smack would make it through waivers. But if you lose a 6th-round draft choice and you get a better kicker, you're not paying him a whole lot. It's like, you took a shot. Who cares? As long as you get the best kicker. I wouldn't look at it as a disappointment. I would look at it as, I appreciate the fact that, let's say this Craig is a really good kicker, and he's dedicated all of his life, obviously, in what he did by quitting his job to saying, hey, I can do this, and then coming over to America and becoming this tremendous story. If he's the better kicker and you have enough guts to say, you know what, our 6th-round guy we took a great shot at, other teams wanted, but this guy's so much better, and it makes your team better, I don't care. That's when people get all bent out of shape. Oh, you wasted a draft. No, what you did was you grabbed a guy who you took a shot on in a later round. You didn't really like anybody at that point. That's the reason you took the kicker with the 6th-round draft choice. And if he just didn't live up to it, no harm, no foul. Who cares? Move on. And you found your other kicker because you brought him in because he was there, and somebody in your scouting department said, this is the guy you got to go get, because at the very least, he's going to be as good as what you have. And if he turns out to be even better, and your team and he hits, those 3 or 4 different, PATs and field goal opportunities in the game against the Bears, as opposed to McManus missing, then all of a sudden you're finding yourself deeper in the postseason because of your kicker. Or if he can kick it continuously into the corner inside the 5-yard line and be able to drop it in and give your coverage teams better opportunities and flip the field, I'm all for it. I don't care. I don't care about first round, second round, 8th round, 10th round. I don't care. As long as your team is better, take it. So if this guy turns out to be better, so be it. But I think Trace Mack's got the job until he doesn't. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Who's this one? This is from Jeff. Jeff says, bringing in another kicker is like putting another Band-Aid on an open wound. It doesn't change what Matt LaFleur is. Okay. Jeff, I thank you for your email. Jeff is and always will be, until Matt LaFleur is gone, a Matt LaFleur hater. Matt LaFleur could win the Super Bowl, and his comeback would be, yeah, but they did it in spite of, and they can't do it twice. That would be your email to me. So appreciate it, but come on, man. You got to give them an opportunity. And then if it doesn't work, then come back and say, okay, here you go. Didn't think it was going to work. Gave him a shot, rooted for him, hoped they were going to win. Didn't work. Then you can go in and say, okay, I'm done. I'm out. Peace out. So 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to track us down, please feel free. Go ahead and give us a shout. What else do we have here? We've got a lot of good stuff today. Oh, a lot of conversation going on over in the live stream today, too. People chatting over there. Oh, this one's from Brian. Brian says, hey, guys, with all the consternation about Matt LaFleur, why do people just dislike him and not want to give him any more chance? And this is what I said earlier, though, Brian. And he goes on and on. He said he's a Packer backer. Can't wait to go to training camp. Looking forward to getting some autographs and my son bringing his bike and all the tradition. Brian, it's great. Thank you, Brian, by the way. He said, and P.S., my home is still standing, but for the others in my neighborhood, my prayers and thoughts and my help is going to go out to them. He lives up in the neighborhood in Menasha, which, you know what? Can't even begin to say it. Seeing the devastation up in that area. Holy mackerel. I know they just had a press conference on TV about, the first responders and everything that's going on up there as far as the cleanup efforts go. But look, this state, there's one thing that I learned going way back to when I moved into the state decades ago, is that this state turns out. It turns out for people. I've seen, look, we saw what happened when Venezuela had the earthquake, and the next thing you know, there's a couple of, Brewers players, obviously Venezuelan descent, excuse me, and they said, hey, we could really use some help. And the whole community turned out at the church, and far, far, far more. It went from being one little truck to being semi-loads of supplies and water and things that were needed over in Venezuela. So, and that's for Venezuela. This is our own backyard. So look, for everything that's going on in Menasha, man, if there is a link or some place where people have been wanting to donate money to say help clean up or help with needs and help with things that are, the necessities like water, like certain foods and things like that. I don't know what the links are. People have been coming to me. I don't know. I haven't found any specifically. But I'm sure if somebody's willing to put it out there, or if you know of it, or if you live in the area, let us know. We'd be happy to help in some way, shape, or form. So, but again, appreciate you living up in that area. I go back to, Brian, basically what I said earlier in the program. I think there's some people that they're waiting for the demise. They're Packers fans, but they're waiting for the demise so they can say, see, I told you so, and they can move on. I think like many, and I'm talking 95% of Packers fans, they're hoping beyond hope, like I am. Like, okay, last year's in the rearview mirror. We've got trepidation going into this season because of what we saw, because history has repeated itself. And now we just want to see if you can kind of dig out of that hole and have that successful season with your players and a healthier squad and be able to say, okay, now you can take that next step. I think that's what a lot of us are just kind of hoping for, to be perfectly honest with you. But there are some people that just, until they get what they want, they're not happy. That's just the way it is. I mean, God knows there's the term Karen out there, and Karens and Kens for a reason, because there's some people that will just complain about air. They just need something to argue about. So let's do this. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot more to get to. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up. We'll be back right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Madison business community loves the DLC. Why is that, Chuck?
Look, small businesses have one goal: to get new customers and keep current customers. But sometimes their customers are just short on money. That's where we come in. Vets, dentists, apartment complexes, auto repair shops, really any small business can send their customers to us.
And you hook their customers up with the cash they need. Brilliant. No wonder they send their customers to Dollar Loan Center.
We're also the perfect place to send your employees when they hit you up for an advance or a loan. We'll treat your staff like family, hook them up for some cash, and eliminate you having to say no.
Dollar Loan Center loves Madison and lends up to $5,000 in minutes. Stop by in Janesville, Beloit, and Beaver Dam to meet our real friendly staff. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed and regulated by the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Bill Michaels Show. Now we're looking.
Hopefully, your day is awesome. Hopefully, your day is awesome. Good stuff today. Tuesday edition of the Bill Michaels Show. Brewers lose last night. Back at it again this evening, talking about what went down yesterday in Green Bay at Lambeau Field during the shareholders meeting. And the shareholders meeting was, it's as Spoon described it, Tom Silverstein in the Journal Sentinel. It's kind of a beginning of the season pep rally for the shareholders, for the people that have the pieces of paper that say, "Hey, I'm a dedicated money spending Packer backer." That's what it's for, and it was for the most part really, really good yesterday. The only thing that I really raised an eyebrow at was we didn't get the length of the contract out of the coach or the general manager. Other than that, it was I thought kind of business as usual for the most part. If anybody was there yesterday and wants to chime in, please let us know. That would be great. If anybody was there yesterday, please let us know.
To be clear, I think the average shareholder meeting year to year is, it's supposed to be boring. Like, it's cool to be in the stadium and you get food and drink and it's cool to be there, but it is quite literally a shareholder meeting.
Right.
They're going through PowerPoints and giving you numbers. So
yeah. It's
not like in a normal year there's a live band and everything. I just think this year, and just reading, especially what Silverstein said and some others, it's just, I don't know. To me, I wonder if the Packers get it. Does Ed Policy get it?
Right.
Do they get that there's a little frustration with the fan base? Do they get kind of the tone and the tenor and the current temperature of the room?
Yeah, no, that's what it is. You're absolutely right. It's literally the shareholders meeting where everybody gets together and says, okay, tell us about the viability of our team. We want to make sure we're good to go, that nothing is going to kind of stand in the way of this team having any kind of success. If we're having financial difficulties or anything like that, you always want to make sure that, things are good. And there's, again, you've got the smallest market literally in all of professional sports, So you look at this and you say, okay, I want to make sure that the team is viable. And that's exactly what that shareholders meeting is meant for. So when it happens, okay, great. You look at it, you go, okay, great. We're all here. And it's great to get back inside Lambeau Field. And some of these people just kind of want to go sit in the stands. I mean, that's it. Just let us hang out. We're here. And that's what it is. But there is the thought, as Tom Silverstein kind of looked at, that you want to make sure that you're viable. We kind of wanted to hear about the contract extensions. You wanted to hear some rah-rah things. You wanted to hear some personnel things out of Goody and who is and isn't going to start on the PUP list, and guys that are going to start a little bit slower this year. And obviously Tucker Kraft and Banks, I think, is on that list, which you kind of go, damn. And then you got Micah Parsons and others. So I want to go through this as we get towards the bottom of the hour. Ed Policy yesterday said that despite the first operating loss in 36 years, 1.1 million, minus the pandemic season, they lost over $1 million last year. An operating loss, remember. He said, and again, that's, by the way, we had an operating loss. Don't panic. We're in great shape. But still, we had an operating loss. It's one of those little, salvos over the bow to say, there's some things we're still going to need. He said, but the Packers are still in great shape.
Number one, the Packers remain in very solid financial footing, and we're in a very strong position. We've got a very strong balance sheet. But number two, we have, I think, shown through these financials that we are going to invest whatever it takes to field a championship caliber team.
That's the biggest thing that Packers fans want to hear. It's like, okay, we've got an operating loss. Oh, no, but we're going to field a championship team. All right, yay, because you always end on that. You go to the high note after the fact. But it is full disclosure. And he says, look, the shareholders as the owners of this team, there are things the Packers cannot do financially that other NFL teams can do.
Private equity money. We don't have a brand new stadium bought and paid for by the state, and we don't have a billionaire owner. So I do think it's critical that we are innovative, that we try to be smart, that we look at long-term trends.
What did you make of that comment? Look, we don't have a stadium bought and paid for by the state,
Right.
Because they've got public money, haven't they?
They have, to renovate. but they still lease the stadium from the city. In other words, well, we don't have anything bought and paid for, so we don't own it, so we still got to pay for it. And that's going back to what Spoon said in his column. And again, we're going to talk to Tom Silverstein coming up here at the top of the hour about there's still position jockeying going on for the rent.
$300 million from a Brown County sales tax to renovate. You're right. And then another $150 million in 3 stock sales
to renovate more.
So it's not like they haven't gotten any public money.
Correct.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That comment just falls a little flat to me.
It does. It's not the best presentation. You get what he's saying. This analogy came to me years ago, and I've always used it. You can have a steak dinner with all the fixings. You can have baked potato, you can have asparagus, you can have twice bake, you can have this beautiful steak, and it's got this fine china and white linens and a white, tablecloth underneath it. And you've got this great silverware, and it's got a glass of wine and this tall stemmed glass, this big goblet, and you're ready to go. And that's one way of looking at it. Or you can have the exact same steak dinner with the steak and the twice bake and the asparagus and everything's right there and wine, and it's on a garbage can lid with a dirty napkin and sporks, and you're eating it out of a sippy and you're drinking it out of a sippy cup. It's the same dinner. The presentation just sucks. And that's kind of what this was, where I get what he's saying, but when you fire that salvo over the bow, going, well, we don't own our stadium, it's bought publicly. It's kind of like, wait a minute, what? We've all chipped in. Look, you have this Taj Mahal of a stadium that is the envy of many throughout the National Football League, and you really didn't pay a dime for it. You don't have an owner. It's not like you have an owner that suddenly gave you $200 million and then the rest, the city gave you the rest or the state gave you the rest. Every penny inside that has been bought and paid for via the fans. It's whether through jersey sales, ticket sales, beer sales, parking sales, you name it, stock sales, taxes. It's all built that Taj Mahal that is Lambeau Field. I agree with them. They don't have a bought and paid for deep-pocketed owner that can say, okay, look, we've paid for this. Now we just reap the benefits. They don't have that because what they have is a lease with the city, which is, again, what they're trying to jockey to get more stability out of the lease. So there isn't the rent increases, so to speak. Then he goes on to say that in order to increase revenue, we're going to do more things like the Luke Combs concerts, some other sporting events. There's going to be more usage of Lambeau Field.
There'll be college football games, premier soccer games. There could be a winter event coming up. We'll see. We're working on that potentially. They're good for us. They do generate revenue, but they're also great for our community and for the regional and local economy.
Now, a winter event. The first thing that comes to mind is going to be the NHL hockey series. Would they dare come to Lambeau Field where there is no professional hockey team existing? And if so, who would it be? Who would play? Because you'd have to figure you don't want, would the Minnesota Wild want to play here? I'm just thinking of local teams and close teams, the Detroit Red Wings, the Chicago Blackhawks. I mean, maybe as an opponent of whatever team would do it. Maybe you take a team that's, say, based in a college town, like, the Columbus Blue Jackets or something like that. But that's the first thing was the Winter Classic. Or do you bring in like the Canadians or something like that as the home team? And then you bring in one of the rival teams from one of the rival cities nearby to pack that place. I mean, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But that was the first thing that came to mind. Ed Policy did, though, put to rest everybody's anxiety when he said, look, we are not going to sell the totality of naming rights to Lambeau Field.
Again, we are not going to be renaming Lambeau Field, but we would also look at other, very significant components of our campus, including potentially looking at our practice facility.
So there you go. So I can see it becoming the Aurora Center, the Aurora Don Hudson Center, or parking lots all being named after certain things. Hey, we're parking over there in the Ho Chunk parking lot, and this one's going to be the Menards parking lot, and this one's going to be the Farm and Fleet parking lot. I can see all of that happening, but they're not going to rename Lambeau Field. So that was some of the, and to me, it's like, I don't know. I I didn't have that much anxiety about it. If it was, Lambeau Field at such and such stadium, I don't know if that'd bother me too much if it kept the Packers completely monetarily viable. But, I'm kind of more OG like that. I don't like the fact that they change it. It's not renamed Fenway Park at such and such. It's not renamed Wrigley Field at such and such. It's just that's what they are. And I just kind of think that's what it should be. So I'm glad that they're not going to do that. All right, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back. Want to get some more of your reaction. 877-867-1670. You can give us a call. You can also hit us up via text line 608 321-1670, 608-321-1670 as well. So find us over there. You know what today is? Today is Turntable Tuesday over at Nice Ash. I just saw that Erin, who's working the day shift over there, has the turntable out, and she had an old Grateful Dead. Grant, this is right up your wheelhouse. An old Grateful Dead album playing today. So if you got an album, if you got some vinyl, and you're going to stop into the Nice Ash, take it with you. And they do Turntable Tuesday, where you just come in and you put your album on and play whatever songs you want, or the whole side, or whatever it happens to be, and sit back, relax, and enjoy yourself and enjoy the vibe. It's right there at 323 West Main Street, downtown Waukesha, coming up on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's live music on those evenings, but Turntable Tuesday going on right now down at theniceash.com. That's theniceash.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network. It's a winning explosion at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. This July, Winplosion rockets in, bursting with $300,000 in cash and reward play. For your shot at winning, just play with your rewards card. Then join us for the Thursday night prize drawings. Plus, every Winplosion entry also counts toward the big WinFest Grand Finale in September. It's Winplosion. Big bang, big bucks. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Who cares if you sell the naming rights? This isn't a church. It's a football stadium. It affects nothing about the experience for anyone. It is stubbornness, and it is lost money every single year. Whatever you think about it, that ship sailed 25 years ago. It is found money. It is money for nothing. You do nothing other than put the sign up or cover the sign up if FIFA's coming to town for the World Cup. Other than that, all you do is put the sign up and you cash the check. I think it's a mistake to not do it. And you can't whine about not having enough money and then say, oh, we're not going to sell the naming rights to the stadium. Yeah.
Now, that is somebody who clearly does not have a vested interest in the Green Bay Packers. That's Mike Florio talking on the Pro Football Talk podcast with Chris Sims. I disagree. I agree with him that it is lost money, but there's other ways to generate that revenue. But that is, and that's the reason some people just do not like Mike Florio, because there is no loyalty to history. None. It is just, give me the money. I don't care how you get it. I'll sell my soul to the devil. Just give me the money. If it's going to help my team, just give me the money. I don't care. And there's a lot of people here that do care. Something I do care about, and I know you know that I care about it. That's our friends over there at Buzzard Billy's out there in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Starlight Lounge upstairs as well. I'm telling you, the other day, I had a friend of mine who went to, was in Minnesota. And he went out there. His son plays hockey, and I don't know where the hell they were, in New Richmond or something like that. Anyway, long story short, they were coming back, and he said, we ended up stopping in La Crosse because his daughter is going to U of L this year. He said, Bill, we had to try it. He said, I had the poutine. He said, oh my God, you weren't kidding. I said, I'm telling you, man, that poutine stuff is fantastic. That's addictive. That'll that's pants off, dance off type of thing. He also said he had the Mardi Gras pasta. They had the poutine as a family, and then he had the dish, the Mardi Gras pasta, which is just awesome. So it's the noodles, it's the Cajun sausages, it's the bread, it's just everything. It's blended with a fettuccine noodle, so to speak, in that Alfredo sauce. So good. But look, they've got something for everybody, and they've just got all kinds of just drinks and specialty items. They've got a chocolate porter. They've got a downtown brown nut ale. The Buzzard Light American Lager that they have over there now, that's theirs, all the different stuff that they have. And, oh, by the way, they have Cider Boys and all the other things that, make up great beers and great taps, but everything at Buzzard Billy's. And upstairs, they have the Craft Lounge, which is the Starlight Lounge with all the craft cocktails. So, look, you cannot go wrong. You can't go wrong. Buzzard Billy's downstairs, Starlight Lounge upstairs on Pearl Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin. If I'm making you hungry and you're out in the area, then get your butt over there and get yourself something good to eat. I'm telling you, the Wisconsin beer cheese soup, it's almost like I can't wait for fall just so I can go get it. Looking forward to Oktoberfest out there again this year, so I can go over to Buzzard Billy's and eat that stuff. So great place right there on Pearl Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Did you like the carnage that Mike Florio cast, as he just said, to hell with tradition, grab the money?
So if we're just evaluating his opinion, it's a fine opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You can have that opinion, say, well, why, if the Packers need money, just sell the naming rights. It's just a stadium. If that's the way he feels, I can't tell him that he's wrong, but he had a line in there, and I'm excited to talk about this in my show tonight, where he said it's not a church, it's a football stadium.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, but if that's true, in my opinion, it's one of the last real football stadiums, because just about every stadium I ever watched, when there's games on Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, they all look the same.
Mm-hmm.
They all look like conference centers. And have you seen the renderings for the Chiefs' new building? It looks just like SoFi. It looks just like, all of these new with the translucent roofs, so you can have they all look the same.
Mm-hmm.
So Lambeau, fine. If it's not a church and it's a stadium, fine. But then all these other, there's something else. They're conference centers. They're event centers. Lambeau's one of the last true football stadiums.
Yes.
And I don't think it would lose that if they sold the naming rights. But I do appreciate that Lambeau in Green Bay is like, no. This is not a multi-use facility. This is not an event. This is a football stadium, and we're going to prioritize the football of it all, over everything else. And in Green Bay, that means the name. It doesn't necessarily have to, but I'm glad that they prioritize the footballness of Lambeau, unlike a lot of other, new stadiums that have been built.
Yeah, it's I have heard it on numerous occasions for people that have come that have never been there before, that have called it the cathedral of football. So when you say it's not a church, it kind of is.
It's described that way on anytime it's on Monday night or Sunday Night Football. How often have you heard Tirico or Al Michaels or Joe Buck use some kind of word like that? It's just semantics. It's just a word, but it is kind of referred to like that. There is, it's held in higher regard than a lot of stadiums. Yeah.
Yeah. It really is. It's kind of they call it the cathedral of, of all the NFL. And so, look, I don't mean to overhype it, but it is on everybody's bucket list. I don't think, other than maybe the spectacular grandeur that is AT&T Stadium, tell me another stadium in the league that people go, I got to go there. I can't think of one anymore. All the old style stadiums are pretty much gone.
It's a good question.
If you had to go to a stadium, if you had a bucket list of stadiums in any sport for that matter, I think, there's Fenway, there's Wrigley, there's certain stadiums you want to hang on to. People want to go to South Bend, Indiana, and go see Notre Dame. You go through that list of certain places that you would like to go, and there's Lambeau Field. I don't know of any other, now I could be wrong off the top of my head, but I don't know of any other stadium that is that's on people's bucket lists.
There would be stadiums. So like Candlestick isn't around anymore. Right. So that's an older one. There would be stadiums I'd prefer to go to. I think Seattle Stadium, I think Lumen looks really cool and is unique. And I think that would be a cool place to see a game.
Okay.
But not because it's historical.
Right.
In the way that Lambeau, Wrigley, or Fenway. And by the way, Wrigley and Fenway, now Wrigley's a little different because that's a family name. And I also, is that the gum? I'm not even sure if they get money for that.
It used to be. Yeah.
It used to be.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a double-edged, if Lambeau was also the name of the sausage factory, it would be kind of, a double thing. But imagine if they named Fenway or Yankee Stadium. Like that's what you should be comparing Lambeau to, not necessarily SoFi or, one of these, take your pick, all these new stadiums that look exactly the same.
It's interesting. I just Googled must-see stadiums, and the top 3, Wrigley, Lambeau, Fenway, not in any particular order. Wrigley back in 1914, Lambeau in 1957, and Fenway in 1912 when all of them opened. Then there's other ones that are around the world.
And then there's college stadiums like Camp Randall is now. The old college buildings are a lot more common. But like Bryant Denny, like those aren't sponsored. Some of them are, but a lot of the old college ones aren't sponsored, and those haven't been named either. Maybe the field has been, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. They say, like, if you go the overall sporting venues in the United States, Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is famous, it's there, the Butler campus down in Indianapolis, and that's also where they shot the movie Hoosiers for the final game. There's Wrigley Field, the Rose Bowl, Assembly Hall. They say Bristol Motor Speedway.
Are you noticing a theme here? None of these are sponsored.
Right. None of them are sponsored. There's Allen Fieldhouse, the Sun Bowl in UTEP out in El Paso. The only one, there's Providence Park in Portland, Oregon. There's Providence Park. But none of them. Cameron Indoor Stadium. The only other one that just popped up that is sponsored, that has a sponsored name, is PNC Park in Pittsburgh. And that is beautiful.
So that's a place that a lot of people like to go because it's a cool ballpark. I don't know when that was built. I don't know if there's historical, significance there. Right. Not like there is with Fenway. So there's two separate things here. Stadiums you'd like to visit. For example, I'd like to see Seattle Stadium. Looks really cool, but that's not because it's a Fenway or a Lambeau. That's just because it's a cool outdoor stadium, and I like unique outdoor stadiums. Right. And then, the same with PNC.
Then, you get down to, you got Madison Square Garden, you got Fenway Park, Lambeau Field. It's all of those. I agree. There's just, then Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and stuff like that. But yeah, there's only so many venues that you would treat them like the temples they are for the history that it is. And again, I go back to the very first day I ever went to Lambeau, as Bob Harlan called me, and we went outside. There was nobody there. It was a beautiful sunny day. And he said, come walk outside with me. And took me, and that at the time was the north end zone, when they still had the visitors coming out of the north end zone. The Packers came out of the north end zone at the time. The visitor has always come out of the south end zone. But the Packers come out of the north end zone. We walked down, crossed the bricks, and sat in the stands. And he said, just listen. And he gave you almost this personal dissertation of the history and the players and the greatness that has passed over that grass. And he said, if you just be really quiet and just look around, you can almost hear them. And it was like, on nothing I've ever experienced before. And it gave you the understanding of how hallowed ground that is. So to be so cliche and say, well, just sell the naming rights, who cares? It's not a church. It kind of is. There's more to it than just, oh, by the way, it's a stadium with doors and glass and places to get beer. It really is.
I don't think Lambeau has a contemporary in the NFL. I think its contemporaries, the stadiums that you'd compare it to, are college stadiums, baseball stadiums. So it's unique in that. Again, I don't think a name change would necessarily ruin that. I still think it would be unique and cool in a bucket list, but it would certainly take some of that, shine off. And if you're someone, everyone views these things differently. There might be people listening, well, I don't care what the name is. It's still a cool stadium. I want the Packers to have more money and I want them to win. Yes. That's a fine opinion to have. And I don't think it would be a big deal if they named it like Culver's Field at Lambeau Field. You know what I mean? Like that's what they did at Arrowhead.
Culver's Stadium at Lambeau Field.
By the way, they did that with Arrowhead, and they're now replacing it with one of these cookie cutter indoor facilities that all look the same on TV, which is a bummer because that's what all the NFL owners are doing. They want that year-round money. We'll play on turf so we can have, the Red Hot Chili Peppers and Five Finger Death Punch come play a show in June, and we can make money from it.
That's exactly right. Now, the whole thing about doing concerts, first of all, the big name stars, it was always like this dream of many bands and such to play Wrigley, to play Fenway, to play some of these historic stadiums, the Ohio State, the Shoe,
Garth Brooks at Notre Dame is a huge stadium like that.
Things like that, and Lambeau Field would be on their list. Believe me, if you could get a Taylor Swift concert at Lambeau Field, they would do it in a heartbeat. Do it, not to mention the fact that it's the second largest stadium when it comes to total capacity, I believe, in the entire NFL, with 77,000 or something like that.
I would assume it's second to Jerry World, AT&T. I'm not sure. I guess that would just be my guess. I didn't look it up, but Spoon cited that in his story. Yeah.
I'm just kind of Googling it to be sure, but Lambeau Field. MetLife Stadium is 82.5.
That's right.
AT&T Stadium is technically 80, expandable for higher areas for standing room only.
Because they have the standing, they have all the extra stuff. But
MetLife is 82.5. Lambeau Field is 81.4, and that is standing room only.
And the Packers do. Go ahead. Sorry,
I was going to say there's Gia Field, which is Arrowhead, and they want to go a little bit bigger if they can, and then Empower Field at Mile High, which is 76,125. So anyway, Lambeau Field is the second largest stadium in the NFL.
And the Packers do some concerts. They just are really intentional about it. Soldier Field will do System of a Down on a Friday night and then a football game on a Sunday, and they'll just make it work, and the turf will look like crap.
That's because it's run by the Parks Department, which is what the Bears are trying to get away from.
Interesting. Yeah, you're right. So it's not that the Packers can't do things. They're just much more intentional. They're much more careful. And the fact that it's in Green Bay and not if Lambeau is in Milwaukee or if it was in Chicago, you could have bigger acts because it wouldn't, it's just geographically isolated in a little bit of a way where even though the venue would be cool, the market and the way the town is, it's the geographics of it all.
Yeah.
Is Paul McCartney going to come do a show at Lambeau, or is he going to do Soldier Field for 2 nights in Chicago? It probably just makes sense to do the second thing, even though Lambeau's kind of more the iconic venue for the show.
Well, that's just it. When you think about the bigger stars that are out there, much like the Luke Combs and all the other, big names, or just a giant country concert or something like that. Anyway, that's what the Packers are going to do. They're going to do more of those and generate more revenue for the stadium and for, the NFL and for the Green Bay Packers.
And also monetize the Title Down district.
Yep.
You guys have dumped as much money into that. You got to find a way to make money off of that.
You're going to name anything. Name Titletown. Name Titletown. Sell the naming rights to Titletown. Put it right above the word Titletown. So, Menard's Titletown or something like that, whatever the hell that is. I don't have a problem with that. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. And again, we're just kind of waxing all over the place today. But if you want to chime in, you can. It's the timing of this is awful, but we know there's a lot of people up in the Fox Valley area without power. And, one of the great people to call is Greg, who I'm sure is as busy gets right now, the master electrician at our friends at All Nations Solar Electric. And they send out their condolences to everybody that lost homes and property and everything else that goes along with it. By the way, did anybody get killed yesterday in this?
I have not seen it.
I have not seen it. So if I'm glossing over that, my apologies. But I have not seen that. And I'm thinking to myself, with all the devastation, that it's just wonderful. If nobody got killed, there's probably some injuries, but nobody, hopefully, knock on wood, nobody got killed. But I didn't see any numbers on that. Nobody's reporting that. But Greg and everybody over at All Nations Solar Electric, their hearts go out to everybody in the area, and they're saying, hey, look, they're busy, but they want to get to everybody as quick as possible. Call them directly, 920-661-7577, 920-661-7577, serving the Fox Valley in Northeast Wisconsin. And again, if you want to, as you rebuild, you want to go off grid, think about them. All Nations Solar Electric. They can help you out there and get you some of the tax breaks and save you some money on heating and cooling as well. So Greg, the master electrician at All Nations Solar Electric, 920-661-7577, 920-661-7577.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Heading out there today, as a matter of fact. I was out there yesterday, J&L Tire and Service Center. So if you're out in that direction today, I'll be out there about 3:30 or 2:30 as a matter of fact, right after I get off the air. I took my trailer out there. And I said all along, they do so much, whether it's 18-wheelers and brakes and all that kind of good stuff, or they're doing stuff for, small cars and oil changes. But I took my motorcycle trailer out there. It's a tandem axle, and they made sure the bearings were good, the tires were good. They got it ready. I got a couple of trips obviously coming up, and they said, all good to go. Come and pick it up. Didn't hardly charge me anything, which is awesome, which is their normal price. It doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, but now I know I can drive it with confidence. The trailer is ready to go. That's J&L Tire and Service Center. Voted them the best tire dealer out there on Boulder Road in Watertown, and right there off the Johnson Creek exit just north of 94. More of the Bill Michaels Show yet to go. Coming up.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers and Giants will play the second game of their series tonight out in San Francisco. The Giants took the opener last night, 3-0. Tonight, the Crew are going to look to bounce back with Logan Henderson on the mound. He comes in 4-1 with a 3.05 ERA. Milwaukee has won his last 5 starts, including when he allowed 2 runs over 5 innings against the Mets last week. The Giants counted with Landon Root. He's 7-8 with a 3.93 ERA. Has been solid of late, allowing just 3 earned runs over his last 3 starts. First pitch is set for 8:45. Meanwhile, the trade deadline now less than a week out. Teams have until August 3rd to bolster their roster. Milwaukee expected to be among those looking to add, as they sit atop the NL Central and vying for the best record in baseball. Turning to the Packers, they held their annual shareholders meeting yesterday in Green Bay. Veterans due to report today, and the first practice of training camp is tomorrow morning. GM Brian Gutekunst and Coach Matt LaFleur slated to meet with the media in advance of tomorrow's practice. Practice open to the public, one of 13 open over the next few weeks.
Truck drivers, are you looking for a career that offers more opportunities? Find out why Schneider stands above the others. In addition to offering the widest selection of home time options, Schneider's safety focus protects drivers. From advanced safety technology on all trucks to giving drivers complete control to determine when it's safe to drive, Schneider delivers. New to trucking, Schneider offers company-paid CDL training and tuition reimbursement options to help you get started. Join a carrier that makes your safety its priority. Search driving jobs near you at schneiderjobs.com.
Well, Wisconsin coach Luke Fickell and three of his guys going through the Big Ten Media Days car wash down in Chicago today. The Badgers picked to finish 12th in the annual media poll released yesterday. Wisconsin get open fall camp next Thursday. They open the season September 6th against Notre Dame at Lambeau Field. Irish have been installed as 20.5-point favorites. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
We got 2 hours down, passing that halfway point. 2 hours yet to go. 2 hours yet to go. We're not done by any stretch of the imagination. Welcome into the program, the Bill Michaels Show. Spoon, our buddy Tom Silverstein's running a little bit late. So in about 15 minutes, we'll get Tom on. Tom's got a meeting going on right now. He's busy this time of year. I mean, you got rookies reporting yesterday. You got the shareholders meeting. Veterans are coming in today, and then tomorrow it all gets ready for real. So he's getting ready for real. So Tom Silverstein's going to join us here in about 15, 20 minutes. So stay tuned for that as we talk about the column, the really, really well-written column that he wrote yesterday that dropped today about the Packers, the shareholders meeting, and kind of some of the mental notations coming out of that. Sometimes it's not necessarily what's said. Sometimes it's what's not said, which was interesting in regards to nothing specific regarding the extensions, the length of the extensions for Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball. So interesting stuff there. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can find us by giving us a call. You can also track us down via text message. I got text messages to get to. Love to hear from you. Text messages to get to. That's 608-321-1670. 608-321-1670. Watch us and subscribe to us for free on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on Twitter, on X, at Bill_Michaels, at Wisco Sport, or at Wisco Grant, I should say. At Wisco Grant is Grant's handle over there on Twitter, on X. Wisco Sports Zone, that's our app. And that's a great way to download us and take us anywhere and everywhere if you choose to do so. You can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. The website, simply thebillmichaels.com. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And the social media platforms under The Bill Michaels Show. Find us there. Same thing on the Twitch app, the Kick app, the LinkedIn app as well. And don't forget our television show airs on Saturday night, 8 o'clock Central Time in Milwaukee on My 24 TV in Milwaukee. That's My 24 TV in Milwaukee. We have not talked any Badgers at all. And the Badgers down in Chicago, it's Big Ten Media Day. And Cheddar Ball says, what's your prediction for the Badgers football season? Prediction against Notre Dame. That's a great question. God, I don't know if it's my head or my heart saying that's going to be better this year. I want to say 9 wins. 9 wins. I don't know if I'm being overly optimistic, but I'm saying 9 wins. The Badgers were picked to finish, 12th? I think, Grant, correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
So 9 wins. Let's go through this, shall we? Do I get crazy and say they beat Notre Dame? I'm going to say yes. People are now right there. Yeah, I've lost a lot of you. You're thinking, okay, Bill, you're a homer. You're smoking crack. No, the way I look at it is the Badgers are going to be completely jacked up feeling disrespected, like they're nothing. This year's version of it is nothing. They're going to want to get off to a fast start and have something to prove. Meanwhile, Notre Dame, they're kind of looking at it as, hey, we're going to Lambeau Field, but we're going to roll the helmets out. We're going to beat this craptastic team that is nothing anymore, and we're going to move on. If you're going to get them, now's when you get them. They come out, punch them in the face, surprise them. Badgers get a win. Western Illinois, 2 win. Eastern Michigan, 3 wins. Penn State at Penn State, there's a loss. Michigan State at home, I'm going to say win. At UCLA, I'm going with a win. USC coming here, I think they stubbed their toe there because they got to go to Iowa to beat Iowa. You got to beat Iowa. It's a must win to beat Iowa. I'm going to say that's win number 6. Rutgers is number 7. At Maryland is number 8. And I'm going to say they get Minnesota at home. Looking forward to Minnesota. Maybe you stub your toe against Purdue, which would be a bad loss, but then you get Minnesota at home. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. But I'm going to say 9 wins with a couple of probably flubs in there. If they lose to Notre Dame, but you still beat Purdue, you kind of switch it out, you're still at 9 wins. You're still at 9 wins. But if you beat the team you're supposed to beat, and then the teams that have kind of whooped your ass, and you get one of those signature wins, you could end up with a 10-win season. But I'm going to stay. I'm just going to say at 9 wins. I'm going to say 9 wins. Have you gone that far yet, Grant, to make any kind of a prediction, so to speak? I'm just looking at it right now the way it stands.
I think best case scenario, they win 8 games. And if they win 8 games, make a bowl, then I think that's a successful season. I don't know if it says that the program is in a much better spot. It'll say that they have a healthy quarterback and they took advantage of the weakest schedule or one of the weakest schedules, I'm not sure, in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And I'll take it because I just want some meaningful competitive football back in Madison for the first time in a couple of years. But I would say best case scenario, they win 8 games, and I'd take it, but I don't know if it means the program has taken significant strides or anything like that. I'm optimistic because of the schedule and because I think, knock on wood, they're not going to lose their quarterback for the entire year again.
Here's the next question. This is the big one. Do you think they end up ranked by the end of the season?
There's a good
top
question.
25.
No.
Okay.
Well, I think in order to be ranked, you need to have at least 1 big win, and for this program, probably 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think in order to win, you'd need to win at Penn State, against Notre Dame. Like you not only need to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, which is kind of the point of this whole season with their schedule. You need to knock off a couple of big boys to make everyone turn and pay attention. And I wouldn't bet on that happening. If they were if they were the same type of team they were 10 years ago, where, they're not ranked in the opening top 25, but they're right there and they're front of mind because they're Wisconsin football. And if they start strong and some teams lose, they'll slide right in. This isn't a team that if they just win a couple of nice games, are going to slide into the top 25. They need to do more than that.
Yeah. I was reading, there's an article, it came out about a week ago from Craig Halbert, and he's a writer. He covers college football for ESPN. And he ranked the 2027 recruiting classes. I don't know if you read this or not. And you start to look and you go, okay, who's got the best recruiting classes coming in? Not specifically this year, but next year. You got Texas A&M, the Aggies, ton of money, all that kind of stuff. Notre Dame, number 2, ton of money. Number 3, Texas, ton of money. Number 4, Oregon's in there, and they've been able to recruit pretty well, and they've been really, really good. So they're number 4. Oklahoma, number 5, and Ohio State, number 6. You kind of go. But for the first time in a long time, we've been talking about it, that Notre Dame, or not Notre Dame, but the Badgers have been recruiting extremely well and getting better. Sure enough, there they are. The 24th, 25th best recruiting class in the country. They've got next 300 commits. They've got 3 of them. The tight end, Kors Loken, the top offensive prospect. The Williams kid, the top defensive prospect. But They say that the class is trying to build a physically imposing roster that can compete in the Big Ten, reflecting Luke Fickell's vision for a program that can now be built on size, toughness, and physicality. He's leaning heavily into the reputation for the big, physical, high upside big men in the trenches, as opposed to what he was before when they were talking about air raid and outward speed and all this downfield stuff. He's kind of said, okay, enough. I'm going back to what Wisconsin was. And now he's putting it back on the tracks. But to be in the top 25, to have that kind of a recruiting class, when you've got other schools that are right there, you've got Washington and Kentucky and Tennessee and some of these SEC teams and other Big Ten teams, and you're right there with them. At least if you feel you get 8 to 9 wins and you're kind of like, okay, I'm starting to see over that fence a little bit that they're putting the train back on the tracks with that 2027 recruiting class coming in, you could probably go, okay, I think they're a lot better than what they were. And I think Luke Fickell's getting it and doing better. So that you're kind of hoping for that. I'm not saying big step forward, like you have to win 10 games and then go to a great bowl and be top 25. But I'm thinking if you go to a bowl, you win 8, 9 games, you look good, and the losses are to legitimate teams and not some one where you stepped on your own junk. I think that a lot of us could feel confident about the 2027 class then coming in and feeling like the Badgers program is back, at least on the right track. So, and that also keeps, your new athletic director from having to make painful decisions, so to speak.
Their former athletic director, Chris McIntosh, is at the Big Ten Media Days today. Big Ten's
is he really?
Director of
Okay.
Strategy. Yeah, Zach tweeted a picture because he's down there covering it today.
Gotcha. Well, there you go. So
Deputy Commissioner for Strategy, Chris McIntosh. What a
All right. I don't know what that means, but all right.
I don't know if he knows what it means.
Okay.
I don't know if the people who hired him knows what it means.
Yeah. I don't know what that means, but I like it.
It's not like in radio where we have very specific, official, meaningful titles.
Yes.
Executive producer of the show, for example.
Exactly.
It's totally not a job title I just gave to myself.
No, you got it because Kate was taking producer.
That's
titles, true. Which actually I gave it to her just so because we had to have business cards printed.
We have a whole team.
So we got it takes many to do this nonsense. So.
It takes a village.
Yeah. 877-867-1670, 867. Johnny Cribbage says freshmen have to be top caliber and juniors have to be impactful, especially on offense. Well, apparently the freshmen are. At least that's what the prediction is when you start to look and rank these top 100 prospects. So, yeah, I agree. Let's see here. What else do we have? This is from Aaron. Aaron says, hey, guys, I think the Lambeau Field's naming rights should be something that should be never put on the table. I don't mind naming everything else, but not Lambeau Field. You just can't do it. It's too hallowed ground. For those on the outside looking in, they just don't understand that. I think in my lifetime and your lifetime, we're never going to see it. Who knows what the future holds down the road, but I think in the next 20 years, I don't think we're going to see anything like that happen. I would pretty much agree with you. Hey, Bill, I'm heading up to training camp this weekend. The Packers did. Oh, no, I've already read that one. I'm sorry. Hey, Bill, I understand the caller questioning Matt LaFleur due to our multiple inabilities to close games out last year. However, we all need to take a deep breath and remember that the ultimate closer, Micah Parsons, was sidelined after the Bronco game. I have to believe that the last couple of those losses would have been victories with a healthy Parsons on the field. I just hope that the progression of Lucas Van Ness, along with the bolstering of the cornerback room this offseason, will help the Pack close out games prior to Micah's return to the field this season. That's Mike and Appleton. Mike, to a certain extent, I agree because he is a closer, but that doesn't explain how the team could move the football almost at will in the first half of a ball game and then have the head coach say, well, they made adjustments in the second half to where they were stymied in the second half of a ball game. That's one of the things when we talked about consistency, what you want to see out of the offense in Jordan Love is don't come out and move the ball at will. You're throwing it, you look great, and you're like, wow, this is going to be great. This could be a bloodbath by the time it's all said and done. And the next thing you know, you're up 23-3, and there's 4 minutes to go in the game, and you're asking your defense to go and hang on because in the second half of the ballgame, your offense can't move the football. And then to say, well, they made adjustments. In other words, we didn't do anything to their adjustments. So that consistency needs to happen. If you got special teams that makes kicks and you've got an offense that continues to hang on to the football and at the very least eats up clock and not just keeps, 3 and out kicking it away, then yeah, you're probably going to win a lot more games too. And you don't have to rely then on Micah Parsons to be your closer. Oh, this goes back to our young friend, the 12-year-old. He said, I was at Lily Lake, about 15 minutes away from my house when a huge white truck pulled up and Edrin Cooper jumped out. And right away, I thought to myself, it was Edrin Cooper. Very cool. Very cool. I like that. Going back to from a little bit earlier. Good stuff. All right, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk with the man that wrote the article, which is very intriguing. We're going to talk with Tom Silverstein of the Journal Sentinel. We're going to get his opinion from what he heard yesterday. Also kind of a look ahead when it comes to this year, this training camp and such stories that he's concentrating on going into training camp for the 2026 version of the Green Bay Packers. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at the Calderon Club in San Giorgio. Always love it when people go there and then they get a hold of me and say, hey, I heard it. I went down there. I love it. Absolutely love it. I get it all the time, whether it's the award-winning spaghetti and meatballs or they've got the eggplant, which is the starter, which is the appetizer, which is fantastic, the bruschetta. They've got the sashina, the spicy penne sashina. And then you go next door to San Giorgio. They've got authentic Italian. It's just different. It's from Napoli, Italy. It's certified out of Napoli, Italy. 2 great places with vastly different menus. And you can't go wrong with either because it's all gourmet. 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee, right across the street from the Hyatt Hotel. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. It is just that good. It's the best Italian food you're ever going to put in your mouth. That's our friends at Calderon Club and San Giorgio Pizzeria in the Napoletana. More of the Bill Michaels Show is next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
We're here with Chuck, founder of Dollar Loan Center. Chuck, where can I find your nearest location around Madison?
Great question. The best way to find us is Google Dollar Loan Center near me, or go to don'tbebroke.com, where you can even apply online if you like.
Well, I use ChatGPT now.
I'm sure that would work too. The bottom line is it's worth the effort. We save customers a lot compared to other payday or title places, and we lend way more. We even give all new customers the first week's interest on us, sort of a free trial. There's no fee to apply, and they can keep this loan out for up to a year if they really need to.
Dollar Loan Center loves Madison and lends up to $5,000 in minutes. Stop by in Janesville, Beloit, and Beaver Dam to meet our real friendly staff. You can also apply over the phone or online at don'tbebroke.com.
Licensed and regulated by the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institutions. Subject to approval, limitations may apply. See website for details.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hard to find, streets stone, modern warriors, satellite horses of chrome, tasting wild.
Welcome back, Bill Michaels Show. Enjoying our day. Waiting on Tom Silverstein of the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. He'll be joining us here shortly. We're going to talk with him. This portion of our program brought to you by our friends at Point Brewing, brewing excellence since 1857, and they've got the new Point Light. The new Point Light, Point Brewing. They're kind of moving with the times, so to speak. And man, I'll tell you this: they have got a lot of great beers, the Amber Lager and things like that. They've had those traditions around a really long time. The special lager, but now they've got Point Light, 95 calories, 2.6 carbs, perfectly light beer. And I have not tried it yet. I've got a lot of friends that have said, you've got to try this. This is really good. It's better than a Drop Dead Blonde, which I find hard to believe, but I'm going to try it as soon as I'm out of the Drop Dead Blonde. But a lot of good stuff. And if you got the kid in you or maybe a kid yourself, they have got all the different sodas, the root beers, the kitty cocktails, the black cherry cream, the vanilla cream, the orange cream. I love the Concord grape. That's for the kid and me. And then all the NAs that go along with it. There's NA beer up there now as well. That's our friends at Point Brewing, brewing excellence since 1857, right here in our own backyard in the great state of Wisconsin, which, speaking of that, I don't know if he's in Green Bay still or if he's back home or waiting for tomorrow or what, but nevertheless, let's bring him in. Tom Silverstein of the Journal-Sentinel joining us for a few minutes on the hotline. Tom, how you been, friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. You did a bang-up job on yesterday. I was listening to everything that was stated, and in my mind, I'm saying the exact same thing. It's what's not said that spoke kind of loudly to me. The fact that they did not reveal the length of time on the contracts for Matt LaFleur, Russ Ball, and Brian Gutekunst that I found rather intriguing. On one hand, I get it because they don't want to have all the questions from you and I saying, well, do you feel like there's going to be pressure on you this year and prevent what happened last year? But on the other hand, everybody announces for the most part what the length of the contracts are without giving out all the details, right?
Yeah, the best clubs do. I mean, I just think it was, if you're confident in what you're doing and you want to show how much commitment you're actually making to these three very important guys, you announce that. I mean, it's common sense. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's become really a ridiculous exercise, where Murphy, 4 years ago wouldn't even acknowledge that they had done an extension for those two guys. But this was critical. This is coming off a losing year, a year where they were 9-1. And so you got to show your fans something.
Right. I agree. I really thought they'd say, well, this is what the length is without, telling us everything else that goes along with it. That being said, you also did a bang up job on the monetary aspect of Lambeau Field, because I know I went over what Florio had to say a couple of weeks ago about the Packers and, the disbandment, if they decided to do so, if Packers Incorporated, and what they could do if they wanted an owner and everything. But there's just a lot of posturing going on right now to maybe get this deal done with the city of Green Bay as far as the rent, right?
I suspect, as I said in the column, a cynic would definitely think that this is what they're doing, that they're trying to posture, they're trying to get people ready for whatever dispute they have with Green Bay and get them on their side. Whether that was their intent, I don't know, but that's how it came off to me. And I am a cynic, so, that's my job to kind of be a cynic and question these type of things. But I also think it's just, I don't understand why a big focus of your speech is to talk about what happens if the Packers leave, or why they would leave. It's just, it doesn't make any sense. Why are you talking about the Packers leaving? Yeah. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in our lifetimes,
Right. I agree, and I never say never, and I would say 99.9% of me says that I will never see the Green Bay Packers leave, not as long as I'm alive. I do know the landscape financially has changed, but like you had pointed out, as long as you have the antitrust and you still have revenue share, the Packers are still going to be relevant, and they're doing it better. Everybody's got the same salary cap, so it's not like it's a salary cap issue. Obviously it's an escrow issue when you talk about guaranteed money, but they're doing it as good, if not better, than the majority of teams that have a ton of money, right?
Right. And go back 30 years and we were talking about free agency when that started, and how Green Bay was never going to be able to compete, with the free agent money being tossed around, and, the Packers were hardly making, that much money. And where are they now? And they've got this jewel of a stadium that is a huge money maker. I don't know. As I said in the column, Paul Allen, Stan Kroenke, they're richer than, God. And it's not like they win the Super Bowl every year. Mm-hmm. They've won Super Bowls, but it's not because they've had more money than the Packers. It's because they've just been better.
Right. So as we head into training camp, veterans reporting today, rookies were there yesterday, and now training camp gets underway tomorrow. I guess my question is, what intrigues you going into this camp, especially the way we, obviously saw last season completely collapse?
A couple of things, a couple. There's the obvious things. What's going to happen at cornerback? Do they have enough corners to compete? But I think there's interesting developments at running back. Is Josh Jacobs nearing the end? He was injured a lot of last year. Is that from mileage, or was that just a mirage? What's going to happen regarding his legal case? Is beyond that, you're thinking Marshawn Lloyd, and how likely is that? That he's going to be able to last a whole year. So I'm starting to wonder about running back, whether they have enough pieces there. I think I also just want to see what the defense looks like under Gannon, how that's going to affect different players within the system. Each guy's going to have different role now, and how are they going to use some of these guys? So that's what I'm most curious about seeing in camp.
Do you like the way Goody went out and kind of attacked the offseason with some of the guys that are no longer here that, rumors had it that might have been a little more outspoken, and brought in guys that are a little more durable, a little more productive, added some depth, specifically on the defensive side of the football is what I'm talking about. And then did you like anything you heard, and in the second part of this question, out of Jonathan Gannon in his presser, where he really didn't say a whole lot?
No, I think you find out what they are when they get on the field, and you find out what his system is. The thing about good defensive coordinators is their system adapts to the talent. And I think that's one thing Gannon can do, because he's run multiple systems and he runs multiple fronts, and he's used a lot of unusual personnel groupings. So I think he has the ability to do that. And I'm just curious to see what that means for various players, because there are going to be changes, and that's natural when you change a coordinator. So I don't know how exactly it's going to play out, but I also think that, I don't think the Packers were devastated by their free agent losses. I think they made calculated decisions, and they didn't pay where they thought it wasn't worth it. And, the one thing they've really done is built up a strong cache of draft picks for next year, which is supposed to be a really good draft. So I think they've done enough to get themselves competitive, for Super Bowl this year, while also, looking towards building towards the future next year. Now they got to do it. Now it's all set. Now it's on the floor. He's got to lead them to the Super Bowl.
Well, that's my next question. Is last year watching the collapse, 5 games in which they kind of snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. The biggest question I always get, and I'm sure you get it wherever you go as well, they talk about the talent. Is this guy good? The guy they brought in, the guy they drafted, and then, oh, by the way, can Matt LaFleur help them get out of their own way, specifically when it comes to closing out ball games? I keep saying the biggest thing I'm looking for this year beyond the offensive line, which needs to be solidified. I'm looking for culture. I'm looking for that confidence, that ability to say we will not be denied, when you could clearly see at times in the eyes of some of these guys, like the minute things began to change, you kind of got the here we go again type of feeling. So I'm looking for culture. I'm looking for something different or more emphatic out of Matt LaFleur this season. What are you looking for?
Yeah, and you can't be who you aren't. So for him to change his personality would be really disingenuous. Part of the question I had after last year was how do you change a culture after 7 years? Is it even possible? I don't know. And that's the question that I think looms, and I agree with you. It is a culture thing. You've got to be someone who puts your foot down on the throat of your opponent and never lets up. And I don't think we ever got the sense that was who the Packers were, certainly not last year. I don't know how you change that culture, but something has to be done to change that, because you can't just take body blows, game after game and lose in the fourth quarter.
What do you need to see out of Jordan Love this year?
The next step in his progression is winning games at the end. Not by himself, but him raising his level of play so that everyone has to match it. Sort of what the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers did when they were on the field. Everybody had to raise their level of play to match the quarterbacks. And that's kind of what you want to see. You want to see him with the ball in his hands under 2 minutes, and you're thinking, if you're the opponent, that's what you need to see. Finishing games, being just the difference maker at the end. And I'm not saying he wasn't. I mean, I think in the Chicago playoff game, he was great at the end. He did everything he could to get them the win, but they had drop balls and all kinds of things. So I think he kind of finished that way. Now he's got to do it all season long.
My only other concern, and I had mentioned this earlier, is the offensive line. They have to have guessed right with Jordan Morgan. They have to have guessed right with obviously Sean Ryan in the contract, or Jager Burton and Banks. I mean, it has to. I mean, last year we knew it was going to be mix and match, and Elton moving over and Banks coming in and this and that. But this year, everybody knows where they're supposed to be. There is no excuses. This is what we invested in. This is who we bet on. It has to be that they bet correctly. Otherwise, I think it goes back to what we witnessed last year, specifically in the run game.
I agree, 100%. I think the offensive line holds the key to the entire team. I think that's where you change that culture. You know, that's the guys who can help change a culture. I mean, look at Philadelphia. Where does their culture for all those years stem from? It was that massive, powerful offensive line. Mm-hmm. You know, they just absolutely dominated people. And that just carries out through the whole roster. Yeah. So I think that, I don't know that they're going to be that type of line, but they've got to be, the most consistent unit on the entire team.
Yeah, which I would completely agree with. Tom, great stuff. It's the Packers shareholders meeting didn't kick off the season the way it could have, by Tom Silverstein of the Journal Sentinel, and I encourage you to go read it and take a look at it. Tom, always a pleasure, and we'll get you back on again real soon, okay?
Thanks, Bill. I appreciate it.
Thanks, pal. Talk to you soon. There you go. It's a brilliant article. If you have not read it yet, it is a brilliantly written article. And I thought it was really strong, talking about not only the financial aspect of the Green Bay Packers, but then what, as we had just kind of walked you through, what was not said. And that was about the faith and the extension and kind of what they're feeling in regards to the length of contract extensions for Matt LaFleur and Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball. So interesting stuff there, but really, really good stuff by Tom. Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Potawatomi Casino, Potawatomi Sportsbook. They got everything you could possibly want, and a whole lot more for that matter. And we are, at some point this year, we're going to make the announcement at which game we're going to be doing the post-game show up in Carter, Wisconsin, which is the Potawatomi up there, and in the Potawatomi tribe area. We're going to be there. But don't forget, they've got all kinds of promotions all over, not just at the one up in Carter, but also the one in Milwaukee. And, don't forget, every Wednesday, which comes up tomorrow, by the way, it's the Club 50 kiosk game. Club 50 kiosk game. Did you know that if you're age 50 or more and Potawatomi Rewards members, you can win free play every Wednesday? So think about that. If you're over 50 and you got something to do, maybe you head down to Potawatomi, you could score up to $500 in reward play up to 5 times. And that's a potential of $2,500 if your math is really good. Mine's not. I had to read it myself. But that being said, you can earn at least 200 tier credits playing with your Potawatomi Rewards cards on Wednesday. It starts at 9 a.m., goes till midnight. And they've got the Club of 50 kiosk game every Wednesday at Potawatomi. I'm telling you, for all the details, all the promotions, everything going on, including the sports book, go to Potawatomi.com. That is Potawatomi.com. Good stuff. We continue with more after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back in. We are excited. We are less than 6 weeks away from the 19th annual Big Unit Poker Run. And we can't do it without you. Can't do it without you. We have pledged over $70,000 over the next few years to Fisher House, Wisconsin via Big Unit Foundation, and we can't do it without you. So please, if you are considering riding with us this year, please get registered. Go to bigunitfoundation.com and go to the events page. But if you don't have a bike and you can ride and you want one, our friends at Suburban Harley Davidson, they can get you out in the wind. And maybe you want to trade yours in. Maybe you just want to get your service before the ride, or maybe you want to get some motor clothes. But don't forget, the party is open to the public. It doesn't matter if you ride or not. The party is open to the public at Suburban Harley Davidson on Main Street in Thiensville, Wisconsin, after the ride, which is where we're going to have music. Six Pack Sammy's going to be playing, which is they're awesome. If you haven't heard them, really good, kind of just a rock cover band, for lack of a better term. And they're fantastic. We're going to have food vendors that are going to be there. Other vendors are going to be there. If you want to make a donation, you can be there. Just all kinds of cool stuff. Plus, it's just a fun day, and it really supports a great cause: veterans, military members, and first responders and their families.
So please come out. We're going to be at Suburban Harley-Davidson on Main Street in Thiensville, Wisconsin, Sunday, September 6th. Now, their gates for the party are going to open up at about 1 o'clock. And everything after that is when the riders started getting there about 3 o'clock. And then it kind of goes from there. And then we make all the announcements on stage and give away all the prizes. And then we just sit back, relax, and have fun. So it's going to be a good time. But it's going to be at Suburban Harley-Davidson. That's where we're going to end. Suburban Harley-Davidson on Main Street in Thiensville, Wisconsin. But if you're looking for great parts, if you're looking for motor clothes, service, or a new bike or a used bike, they've got a huge inventory right now. So again, go to suburbanharley.com. That is suburbanharley.com. And don't forget, tonight is bike night. Tonight is bike night with Suburban Harley-Davidson at Wayne's Drive-In in Five Corners up there in Cedarburg. So keep that in mind as well. Good stuff. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to give us a shout, please feel free to go ahead and do so.
What was your biggest takeaway from Tom? That was a pleasure to sit and listen to, by the way.
That was good.
I love Tom.
My biggest takeaway is that he's got kind of the same concerns that we do now. Like he said, the business of the NFL, the business of the Green Bay Packers, it's not really going to change. Not unless something dramatic happens in the next decade or two. So it is what it is. He kind of felt that there was some posturing going on. And like he said, he's not necessarily a pessimist, but he's, very analytical when it comes to stuff like that. So I thought that was rather interesting. Again, going back to the contract situation with Matt LaFleur and Brady Gutekunst as to the why, not just tell people what kind of level of confidence you have in your brain trust, that is the front office, so to speak. But then he got into the business of football and said, look, what they lost, because some people are still scratching their head over the loss of Quay Walker or Rashawn Gary and some of these guys. He's like, look, they just weren't going to overpay for that level of talent. And the guys they brought in are equal to or better than what they lost. So, he kind of feels like they got better. Now, his big concerns are obviously, the running back position. And is Josh Jacobs, did he take a step back last year? Is this the beginning of the end? Or was it just that he was a little bit banged up and the offensive line wasn't nearly as good? And then the secondary. And I think that is an area that, all of us has circled. I think there's depth. I just don't know what level of quality of depth. And I don't know how much better they can be with better maneuverability up front. So it all goes hand in hand, of course. But I just don't know. We don't know what level of talent they have in that secondary right now. And like he said, they stockpiled draft choices for next year in a year in which it is supposed to be a pretty good football NFL draft. So I'm kind of in the same boat right now, thinking there's a lot of wait and see. He agrees with me. I love the fact that he agreed with me, and it all starts up front. He's very OG like I am. They have to have bet on the right guys to be in the right position on the offensive line. Banks did not play last year in preseason, and it showed in the regular season. He's probably going to start this year rehabbing again. So we'll see. But, does that open the door for, say, Jager Burton or Sean Ryan? Does he bounce over and Jager Burton takes over at center, and suddenly Banks is just a high-priced free agent pickup that's going to be nothing more than a backup because they solidify their offensive line in that particular way? So I think there's a lot there that to start off with, we really got to pay attention to. And we all know we're going to get every report from training camp starting tomorrow of how many times such and such blows past Jordan Morgan, or Jordan Morgan gets the best of such and such. And here's the problem. If you've got Van Ness and Jordan Morgan going at it in every practice, it's going to be a knock on one or the other. Well, oh my God, Jordan Morgan, he just pancake blocked Lucas Van Ness, and people are going to go, Van Ness sucks. And then if Jordan Morgan and Van Ness blows past him, Jordan Morgan sucks. It's gonna be that, unless you just see continual stalemates at the line of scrimmage and really nobody winning anything.
And then maybe both suck. Don't discount that possibility.
Yeah, right. Well, that'll be the pessimist side of things. That'll be the both sucks, So it's just, I think this year Morgan has to be the real deal. Banks has to have a bounce back season from what he had last year, and he's already nicked up. Sean Ryan is at the very least going to be a starter. We just don't know where. Anthony Belton has to improve his pass blocking. He's a big dude. He's a road grader. Let's see what happens. And then obviously the return of Zach Tom and how vital that is going to be to that offensive front. But if that offensive front is good, well, then you take it a step further and you say, well, then that should make the running game better. He did mention Marshawn Lloyd, but everybody mentions Marshawn Lloyd in the same breath by going, yeah, and then there's Marshawn Lloyd. And, and we all go, well, who knows there, because there's nothing that he's shown us that would say, okay, feel pretty good about that, because he's not been able to stay healthy. So there's a lot there that I think we've got our eyes on in this questionable training camp as to whether or not this team's going to make you a believer or not. And really nothing's going to matter till you get at least into the first quarter of your season. But still, we all know. By the way, I want to get into this when we come back. Pro Football Focus came out the other day, and I didn't get a chance to get to it. They rank everything, right? Everybody does this time of year. And did you go over this, Grant, the ranking of tight ends?
I haven't, no.
Okay, and what they feel about Tucker Kraft, it's interesting. Because Tucker Kraft was banged up for a good portion of the year last year. So I want to get into that. I want to talk a little bit about where and what they feel about Tucker Kraft and the Packers tight end situation in Green Bay. So I want to get into that as well. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Epoxy Flooring Done Right. They're all over the state of Wisconsin, from Green Bay to Milwaukee, out to Madison, everywhere in between, whether it's an epoxy flooring or a polyurea coating, which they can turn into almost like artwork and make it beautiful in a rec room, in a basement, in a garage, whatever it is, they can do it. And the best part about it is they're based right here in the state of Wisconsin. Based in Wisconsin. That's epoxyflooringdoneright.com. Call Sean and the gang. Call them directly, 262-443-2852, 262-443-2852. Get a hold of Sean, and they can help you out. They can make your house just look spectacular, and God forbid you have any problems. But if you do, they're right here in your own backyard. You don't have to chase down one of these out-of-state companies to try to get them come back and fix what isn't right. That's why it's called Epoxy Flooring Done Right. They fix a lot of other people's problems. 262-443-2852, 262-443-2852. Get a hold of Sean, epoxyflooringdoneright.com.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends over at the Social House. H-A-U-S. House on West Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls, Brookfield. Drove past. By the way, on Sunday mornings now, they have yoga. They have yoga, which is awesome. They do yoga on Sunday mornings out on the bocce ball courts. So if you're thinking about kind of being the yoga person, you want to do a little yoga before you go eat some breakfast. Social House is doing yoga now. They have all kinds of things happening out there. I saw they have the fences up and everything now around the pickleball courts. The brand new parking lot and everything, off-street parking is now open. And do not forget that they also have High Water Bar and Grill, which is out there on Venice Beach Road in Oconomowoc in Lake Country. So they've got two great places now. Social House, which is the German-style beer house type of place, but they've got bocce ball, which is more Italian than anything, and then they've got pickleball, which is more us than anything, and then they've got High Water Bar and Grill, which is also us in Lake Country with the outdoor seating on the peninsula right there by Upper Bobbin Lake. It's just awesome. Two great places. Social House, West Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls, and then High Water Pub and Grill on Venice Beach Road in Oconomowoc. Right there, you can see it from the highway, as a matter of fact, on 94. You just look north right there at the lake, and there it is, High Water Bar and Grill. Both places are fantastic. By the way, Coach Plyo Guy says, do I do yoga? I did it a couple of times years ago, probably 23, 24 years ago. But I'm not that limber anymore. So if I do yoga, I'm going to need people to help me get up. Might be the best way to put it. So, I can do anything. It's the aftermath that I have to deal with. So I can be like, yeah, this is great. You know, hey, I'm stretching it out, hamstrings. And the next thing you know, I'm locked in that position and I'm done. So that's my yoga experience. We got another hour yet to go, so don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. I want to get into the rankings when we come back. Pro Football Focus went through the rankings of tight ends in the National Football League. Now, remember, Tucker Kraft last year was banged up. We all know that, right? So he goes down with the injury, but they've got him ranked at a rather interesting position. And so when I started reading through this and looking at the reasons to why, I thought, okay, there's even more optimism for the growth, the comeback, the experience, and maybe the help for offense from one Tucker Kraft. So don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. We got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Another hour yet to go. We'll be back right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers and Giants will play the second game of their series tonight out in San Francisco. The Giants took the opener last night, 3-0. Tonight, the crew are going to look to bounce back with Logan Henderson on the mound. He comes in 4-1 with a 3.05 ERA. Milwaukee has won his last 5 starts, including when he allowed 2 runs over 5 innings against the Mets last week. The Giants counter with Landon Root. He's 7-8 with a 3.93 ERA. Has been solid of late, allowing just 3 earned runs over his last 3 starts. First pitch is set for 8:45. Meanwhile, the trade deadline now less than a week out. Teams have until August 3rd to bolster their roster. Milwaukee expected to be among those looking to add, as they sit atop the NL Central and vying for the best record in baseball. Turning to the Packers, they held their annual shareholders meeting yesterday in Green Bay. Veterans due to report today, and the first practice of training camp is tomorrow morning. GM Brian Gutekunst and Coach Matt LaFleur slated to meet with the media in advance of tomorrow's practice. Practice open to the public, one of 13 open over the next few weeks.
Whether you're new to the trucking industry or looking for a change from your current driving job, Schneider has an opportunity for you. Need a CDL? Take advantage of our company-paid training and tuition reimbursement programs. Ready to advance your driving career? Check out Schneider's wide variety of driving job options that fit both your current needs and your goals for the future. Start or grow your trucking career at Schneider. See what we have to offer at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Well, Wisconsin coach Luke Fickell and 3 of his guys going through the Big Ten Media Days car wash down in Chicago today. The Badgers picked to finish 12th in the annual media poll release yesterday. Wisconsin get open fall camp next Thursday. They open the season September 6th against Notre Dame at Lambeau Field. Irish have been installed as 20.5-point favorites. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil-Perrin.
Welcome! Bill Michaels Show on the air, hour number 4. We are glad you are with us. Glad you are with us. It is a much better day outside today, as you can see, than the weather that blew through yesterday. Sun is shining, and albeit all the cushions and everything are gone because I had to put everything away yesterday because I thought they'd blow away. But nevertheless, outside is a much better day, a cooler day, and a less humid day. Unfortunately, it also brings light to the cleanup that is needed in the Menasha area. By the way, I did, from earlier, I said, hey, if there's a link out there, let us know. WBAY TV in Green Bay has which is the Fox Cities tornado victims donation link there. So if you find WBAY.com, they have a link where they're raising funds and such that are needed for those in the Menasha area, as that EF3 tornado ripped through there yesterday, just destroying homes and businesses and vehicles and people's lives, for lack of a better term. And so anyway, keep them in your thoughts. And if there's something you can do, whether it's a donation or volunteerism, whatever, they're encouraging you to go to WBAY.com and then find the link there. So thanks to Scott, who lives in Hilbert, who sent me the link. And I wanted to make sure that that was all covered because it was a tragic day yesterday for so many reasons and so many lives, as a matter of fact. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number if you want to get a hold of us. We would love to have you. 877-867-1670. Text us 608-321-1670, 608-321-1670. We're on YouTube. You can subscribe there for free. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. We are on Twitter, on X, @Bill_Michaels. Michaels. You can find Grant at Wisco Grant. Our app, which is awesome. You can take us anywhere and everywhere, listen to us, watch us, all that kind of good stuff. Go to Wisco Sports Zone. Wisco Sports Zone. You can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. Thebillmichaels.com is the website. On Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, The Bill Michaels Show on those social media platforms, and follow us there, which, by the way, I did not realize we're only 4 follows on Instagram away from eclipsing 5,100 followers, which, hey, if you're out there and you're listening and you don't follow us on Instagram already, please do so. Please do so. So I saw some people followed us today, and
Our buddy Brewer Mike joined us over there. Passion, Power, Purpose 71 joined us over there. Howie Ben 422 joined us over there today. So we have quite a few followers over there. So it's awesome. So thanks for following us over there on the Instagram side of things. Also, we appreciate you on TikTok, the Twitch app, the LinkedIn app, the Kick app, and then you can watch the television show each and every Saturday night in Milwaukee on My24 TV, 8 o'clock Central Time. 8 o'clock Central Time. So there you go. Good stuff. All right. I wanted to go back to this because Pro Football Focus, I didn't get a chance to go to it last week. And I just kind of tucked it away. But Pro Football Focus has rated, everybody. They've rated quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, all that kind of good stuff. Okay. Going into the upcoming season. And when you look at it, you kind of think, okay, who are the best tight ends? Well, the first player you think of is George Kittle, right? Oh, by the way, a couple people just followed us on Instagram. So thank you very much. George Kittle currently, as they call him, the gold standard when it comes to tight end position. He paced all tight ends with a Pro Football Focus grade of 90.7 for the third straight season and the fifth time in his 9-year career. All right. One of the best. Then you start to think, okay, Travis Kelce, he's down the list. He's number 9. All right. Undeniably slowing down at 36 years old. The fewest receiving yards in his career last year. But then again, they also had issues at the quarterback position where Patrick Mahomes got hurt. They didn't really have a lot of other offensive weapons. He was being double covered at times. Just wasn't a normal year for Travis Kelce, right? He had a wedding plan. He had a wedding to plan anyway. Number 2, Trey McBride of the Arizona Cardinals. He's become one of the best tight ends in football. 26 years old, been one of the league's most valuable tight ends. There's Brock Bowers of the Raiders. Doesn't get a lot of coverage. Coming out of Georgia as the greatest tight end in college football history, he wasted no time at the next level. 1,194 receiving yards in the 2024 season as a rookie. And he just, broke Mike Ditka's rookie tight end record that year that stood for 63 years, by the way. But he had a knee injury. Missed 5 games his sophomore campaign, still tied for the 5th most among tight ends. There's Sam Laporta of the Lions. Now, we've seen him up close and personal. Missed 8 games in 2025 due to that herniated disc, but he was still one of the best tight ends, right? There's Colton Loveland of the Chicago Bears. A quiet start to his rookie campaign. He really turned it on in the second half of the season. The number 10 overall pick, 84-point zip Pro Football Focus grade, 3rd among all tight ends. Really good. And he's going to be something the Packers are going to have to contend with for years to come, most likely. Dalton Kincaid of the Buffalo Bills comes in at number 6. It was his best season so far in his career. Then there's number 7, Tucker Kraft, one of the most productive tight ends in the league across the last 2 seasons. 13 touchdowns in that span, are 3rd in the NFL, and as are his 812 yards after the catch. 812 yards after the catch. Kraft has a 157.2 quarterback passer rating when he's targeted. In other words, you put it near him, he's going to catch it. That's the best in the league the past season and very close to being perfect. Because remember, perfect is 158.3. He was 157.2. And he's also second in terms of yards per route run. That's how good he is. And he still missed significant time last year. Then it goes to Kyle Pitts, number 8. We already talked about Travis Kelce at number 9. And the Indianapolis Colts, Tyler Warren at number 10. And it goes on down from there. Okay? But they consider him the seventh best tight end in the National Football League. And the numbers he put up, had those numbers continued throughout the 2025 campaign, he would have probably ended up numerically, statistically being the best tight end in football last season. With the numbers, the yards, the passer rating, everything that he was putting up, not to mention the touchdowns, he would have by far been the best tight end in all of football last season. That's over Kincaid and Loveland, Laporta, George Kittle, everybody. He would have been that guy. That's why when we start to talk about the offensive line needs to be better, they do. But when you get him back, if he's close to being Tucker Kraft, and if you watch his workout videos, that dude's, he's a manimal. He's a flat-out football player manimal. That's what he is. But if you watch his workout videos to where he wants to be and the desire he has, and you listen to him speak about playing, closing out games, being a badass, everything that goes along with being the machismo football player, I have no doubt that if he's close to being as good as he was before he went down, close. I'm not saying he has to be. I'm saying close. That is a massive, massive weapon to get back if you're Jordan Love. That's a massive weapon to get back. Specifically, his ability to run people over yards after the catch. That's how big the return of Tucker Kraft, in my opinion, is. I think it's that big. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, do it. 877-867-1670. I think it is that big. We got some emails, got some text messages, all that kind of good stuff to get to. This one's from Stan. Stan says, in regards to the best tight ends in football, do you think that some of the best tight ends reside in the NFC North? When you look at what the Vikings have, Detroit, and Chicago, even though I hate to say it. Yeah, I would have to say yes. Of course. You got, like I'd mentioned, Sam Laporta considered also one of the best in football. And Loveland, who you've got down in Chicago. And then don't forget, TJ Hawkinson is really good. He's a solid player. He's no slouch. Now, he's not in the top 16 on this list, but he didn't have much of a quarterback throwing to him. I wonder how much more he'll infiltrate the game plan with Kyler Murray. Now, Kyler Murray loves to show off the athleticism, okay? So let's just say Justin Jefferson isn't there and Jordan Addison isn't there. How much does TJ Hawkinson, with a better quarterback, get checkdowns? Now, I think out of the group, he's probably fourth, and I think fourth easily. I think you can make an argument for everybody near the top, to be honest with you. You can make an argument for Sam Laporta. And, Sam Laporta, come on, he's got an 82 Pro Football Focus grade, and since getting drafted in 2023, he's got an 81.2 grade, and that is fourth best among all tight ends in football. And he's got 2,104 yards in that span. That's tied for fifth. But don't forget, he had that disc last year. He could be a top 5 guy if indeed he can come back. And then there's Colston Loveland, who first 2 years, really, really good. But I still believe, this is just my belief, but I believe that Tucker Kraft, fully healthy, if he put together the season that he was looking like he was going to put together last year, if he would have stayed healthy, he would be above both of them. I would have to say, I'm being biased, but I think Tucker Kraft is 1, Loveland is 2, Laporta, I don't know how he's going to come back from that herniated disc, but he's number 3, and then TJ Hawkinson is going to be number 4. That's just my kind of get, but there you go.
I would tend to agree with you. I hate to interrupt. I wish I had a sound effect. Mike Clemens is here to chat for a couple minutes.
Oh, God. Let's by all means, let's bring in Mike, because Mike brings sensibility to the program. Mike, how you doing today, pal? What's going on?
Pretty good. Move-in day for training camp, So bringing in extra supplies and things like that. What's kind of sad is I miss the days at St. Norbert Dorm and the players moving in,
right.
And because it's all secret stuff. We understood they had to make different changes during COVID, but they never come back out with that. So it's like a team hotel. I think players are staying at home more often. They just, but the thing is, they do have long football days. They've got this tremendous facility that they live in 12 hours a day, at 1265 Lombardi, which they've even added to in terms of the weight room and training and, pools and things like that.
Yeah.
Walk-through areas. So,
hey, Mike,
we got to see pictures of that yesterday.
I was going to say, I did see that Micah Parsons put up the picture of the training facility and said, loves to be a part of the organization, best damn training facility in all of football, which was graded low last year. So now we know that player's grade is going to be much higher this year when it comes to this strength and training and conditioning facility.
So Ed Policy, your new CEO and president, is standing up there at the podium. About 7,000 fans that showed up as usual at Lambeau Field. And, he gets up there, and then they start putting up the graphs. And so then they have these bar graphs that say, we made $70 million that year in operating costs and $50 million this year and $90 million. And then yesterday, negative $1 million.
Right.
Like, what? It's so, they've got a net income. They've got the profit sharing from the league. They're okay. The rainy day fund that used to be $500 million is now up to $700 million in just a couple of years, which is like if a tornado like what hit Menasha yesterday hits the stadium, that's your rainy day money to fix your stadium so you can still be on time with your schedule and those kinds of considerations. But I'm getting a sense that if there's any slight difference between Ed Policy and Mark Murphy, it's like, sure, let's do it today. I mean, he's on a tear, and there's so many projects going on. I used to think that Mark Murphy and his staff kept things busy, but there's all these other little projects that are going on. And let me tell you this, overall, the review is the same. You're impressed by the board, which, 25, 30 years ago, Bob Harlan still had to sort of play politics, the old school guys from the paper mills and things like that. Today, the executive board, these are the best from the state. Like everybody's got an MBA, a lot of them are lawyers. It's and they have to because they're competing with these billionaires around the league. So Ed Policy brings that stuff up again. And I think part of it is because, when he says, number one, we want to win football games. Number two, we want to make sure the team stays in Green Bay. And he's, pointing to the Chicago Bears and Hammond, Indiana. And people think that's just silly. Like, oh, come on. And then, number three is we put back into the community. But I think he's putting that number two because on his number two list of things to do is to get this lease deal worked out with Brown County, which, they're sort of playing with their food. I think they don't have to worry about it until 2031. But the Packers want to get it set now because they have all kinds of budgets to fix after that. Here's an important question. And maybe you want to ask this in a phone or tomorrow from your listeners.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it to you as a Green Bay Packers fan that you know how long the contract is now for Matt LaFleur or Brian Gutekunst? Because they won't tell us.
Right. And that I agree. I was that was one of the things we just had Spoon on. And I was kind of like thinking the same thing. Mike, I was listening to some of the audio yesterday and I kept waiting to find out what the length of the contract was because they're never going to give us the total money. But usually they say, here's what it is. Remember in Spoon's article, he said Bob Harlan felt it was necessary to say, here is our commitment to the coaches. So both the fans know and the players understand this is our commitment to these guys. And the fact that they didn't say anything, I think that speaks rather loudly, don't you?
Well, that's a topic that, in off season, things to do, questions we have in covering the team that we've been asking about, like, when are they going to do that? And so, for a personal reason, LaFleur and Gutekunst don't want, their personal business out there. Fine. I'll tell you the most important thing in terms of the success of the franchise. And you think about those negative report cards, right?
Right.
On LaFleur at the end of last season is, if it's a 3-year deal for Matt LaFleur, does that plant any kind of a seed to some guy that just signed a long-term contract with the team? The coaches want to be in the background. They don't want to be the story. They want them to be all about the players and to have them in the spotlight and to perform. And so as little as the players know, the organization knows, the agents, the teams in your division know about the rest of those operations is probably benefits the competitiveness of the team. Outside of that, on the other hand, you guys are fans. You're shareholders, for crying out loud. A lot of you have paid $250 for that piece of paper. Don't you deserve to know what the plan is in terms of how much did you reward LaFleur? You haven't won the North since Aaron Rodgers was quarterback.
Right. Yep. I know. It's yeah. Go ahead.
those are just, I think, some of the thoughts we took away from yesterday. Other than that, I think it was nice that Ed announced that on October 29th, Thursday Night Football, Packers against the Carolina Panthers, the team that the Packers beat back in '96 to advance to the Super Bowl in the NFC Conference game. They're going to put Bob Holland's name up in the Ring of Honor right next to Ted Thompson.
That's great. Hey, Mike, can you hang for another segment?
You bet.
Stay tuned. We got Mike Clemens joining us on the hotline. And as always, Mike is always brought to you by our friends at the Bay Motel. The Bay Motel, which is quiet, cozy, comfortable, and only a mile from Lambeau Field. If you're heading up there for the training camp or anything for that matter, check out BayMotelGreenBay.com. That is BayMotelGreenBay.com. It's great to have the Bay Motel back again this year. I see all their pictures over there on the Facebook and Instagram and all the great food that they have at the Bay Family Restaurant, home-style cooking 7 days a week. But it's great to have them back again, taking care of our buddy Mike always. That's BayMotelGreenBay.com. Call them for reservations, 920-494-3441, 920-494-3441, just a mile from Lambeau Field, just stone's throw away from success. That is BayMotelGreenBay.com. More with Mike Clemens next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Got some great people out there in West Salem, Wisconsin. That's the home of Big Boar Barbecue. We love local, we love family owned, and that's what this is. And the brothers out there still mourning the loss of their third brother, Quentin, but nevertheless, Carter and Cody moving on. And Big Boar Barbecue is big and strong, and it's a great place with terrific food, whether it's the dry rib, the sauced up ribs, pulled pork, chicken, breakfast, lunches, you name it, or that golden mac and cheese and the great coleslaw. It is Big Boar Barbecue. And just losing their brother, I keep saying get out and support them. Just a terrific family that kept a great business alive after the original owners said, hey, we're going to retire. The three brothers who had worked there growing up bought it. And it's been great ever since. Go to Big Boar, BOAR, BigBoarBBQ.com. That is BigBoarBBQ.com. Joining us on the hotline, our guy, Mike Clemens, live up there in Green Bay. So, Mike, what are you looking for tomorrow as camp opens up?
Well, I got like a top 10 list. I don't know if I can get all the way through it, but, Sky Moore. Okay, I haven't seen him yet, but that's a return guy. Not,
Right.
So it'd be nice to get some eyeballs on him. Starting at the bottom of the list is like Trey Smack, your field goal kicker. I mean, that's going to be a big story right away. If, do you have the next Ryan Longwell, the next Mason Crosby, or have you got, Andrews Carlson in there? So, and a guy that you spent a draft pick on, the new special teams coordinator. I think we can talk all day about the defense, but I don't know anything about Jonathan Gannon yet. I know what he did with the Eagles, and I know that maybe even he did it with not as good as a roster as that they had later on when they won the Super Bowl. But I'm interested to see how he installs and how the guys respond. Zaire Franklin is a guy that we haven't talked about that they did pick up, and that might be an upgrade, at least from a football IQ standpoint, after losing Corey Walker in free agency to the Raiders. On the offense, Brian Gutekunst did his report to the shareholders yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was kind of like he's reading out of the media guide. Well, we got this guy, we got that guy, and, we were 9-3-1, and then we ended up losing the last 5 games. And that, that part of the speech, right?
Right.
As he was breaking down the various squads of the team, he said offensive line. We re-signed Senator Sean Ryan. We're looking forward to Jordan Morgan holding down, left tackle. We got Zach Tom, and we look forward to that group. And it's like, I turned to the guy next to me and I said, he didn't mention Aaron Banks. And then the PUP comes out and Aaron Banks is on there.
Right.
So, so that might be an interesting story as to what you got going on left guard on offense. So those are just some of the things I'm thinking about, Bill, heading into this first week.
Did they allude to what is wrong with Banks coming into this camp? Because he missed all of camp last year, too. Remember, him and Rasheed Walker didn't really play together until they got ready for the season.
No, I don't know if LaFleur may tell us tomorrow morning. You'll have to ask Aaron that. I would imagine it has something to do with off season, whether he had to have a procedure, whether he got hurt during the last mini camp or something like that. But we don't know what the cause is yet.
Okay, so we got Banks starting out on the PUP list, which unfortunately we kind of figured that. But then, Mike, can Sean Ryan then move out to left guard, and does Jagger Burton then get that opportunity to be a starter on the offensive line, being a guy that everybody thinks is a very quality center?
Well, that might be part of the puzzle too, because he was really impressive, especially for a rookie in the off season. And we can all hardly wait to see that kid with the pads on. He's sharp, man.
Yeah,
he's smart football player.
What do you think of the signing of kicker Lenny Craig?
Yeah, we're all excited about that here. That's what everybody's been talking about at the bars.
Well, I read Bill Huber's article, and Bill's like, look, this guy's never missed. He's booted from 57. He's had a lot of opportunities. He gave up the rest of his life to say, hey, this is what I want to do. So he's got somewhat, at least the chops to do it. But I mean, I think it's, and Grant and I were waxing about this earlier, you're not going to keep 3 kickers. So at this point, I think it's Trace Mack's job to lose. And the other two, between Harvisak and Craig, those two guys are battling for the practice squad at this point, right?
They waived, by the way, they waived Haversack about 10
They
minutes
waived
ago.
Haversack 10 minutes ago. Wow.
I should have sent that along, but within the last 10 or 15 minutes.
How about that? Okay. I didn't know.
Yeah. Now, listen, you're creating competition constantly, and you're working the board constantly. And, I'll tell you, there's this team down in Milwaukee right now that plays baseball, and what they're doing in terms of their scouting and the players. I could go on for hours about that in some of those kinds of comparisons. But, yeah, it's, you're trying to put the best players on the board and into this camp and create that competition. You hope that Smack wins because I think that, the gals over in the pro shop have already got those shirts printed up. They want to sell Smack jerseys.
Yeah. Oh, I can see the Smackless T-shirts going all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, would they announced if Micah Parsons is on the PUP yet? Because, these guys are coming in today. They're having their physicals. I was kind of surprised that he wasn't on the list with Tucker Kraft, the ACL guy. Yesterday, but I think the general consensus is they figure Mike is going on the PUP today.
I think they did. I was going back through all of the threads as you were talking about that. I was going through all the threads, but I believe Micah Parsons starting on the PUP.
Yeah, and that's probably from an agent. The transaction wire will have it today at 4:00 official. So, that's the other thing that I'm looking for. Did you quickly, I don't understand what Micah said about, listen, I'm not going to be out there the player that I used to be. I'm going to be the player, the standard for my family and my children. I didn't understand what that meant. Did you?
I did not. No, I didn't get it.
It's a message that he posted, a written message on Instagram in the last 36 hours or so. And I don't know, maybe he'll come and talk to us before we get into training camp to explain that. But other than that, we're going to hear from Brian Gutekunst tomorrow morning, Matt LaFleur, and then first practice open to the public at 10:30 tomorrow morning.
A lot of storylines going into camp, Mike. Looking forward to it. We are all back. The band is back together, and we're looking forward to a great season of coverage, okay?
Thank you, Billy.
Appreciate it, pal. There you go. That is the great Mike Clemens joining us on the Schneider Big Orange Hotline. Don't you feel like everything's okay now in the world?
It's like a hug from grandma.
That's a great way to put it. It's like a hug from grandma. There you go. It just feels like, okay, everything's back. Speaking of back, IMSA is back. If you have not ever been to IMSA, man, they have tickets available still up at Road America for this weekend. Looks like the weather's going to be pretty nice, too. Go to call them 800-365-7223 if you want to see the ultimate in racing and just the ultimate showmanship with the parties and everything to do, whether it's camping, inside the carousel, the concerts, everything. It's going to be at Road America and 6 straight hours of racing. Boy, you get your money's worth. You've heard of the 24 hours of Le Mans and the 24 hours of Daytona, where you get the 6 hours of Road America, and that is upcoming this weekend with IMSA. The IMSA weekend begins on Thursday. Go to roadamerica.com. That is roadamerica.com for all the information for the camping, for the tickets, everything right there at roadamerica.com. Road America, your national park of speed.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Your micros will resume in 4 minutes. Your micros will resume in 3 minutes. Your micros will resume in 2 minutes. Your micros will resume in 1 minute. Your micros will resume in 30 seconds.
Punch out 12 out of 13. That's pretty impressive. There's nothing more impressive than that, I don't think. But I could say that, he looked good, but punching out 12 out of 13 is a pretty good sign.
Pat Murphy right there. Talking about the Miz from the other day, and unfortunately, they did not get the win last night. Weren't punching out a bunch of players last evening for the San Francisco. They didn't have a bad outing. It was just a runless game for the Milwaukee Brewers. They get playing 3-0 back at it again tonight. Joining us now on the hotline from the Locked On Brewers podcast, it is our own Chuck Freimund. Chucker, how you doing, pal?
Kind of like the calm before the storm before Packers season. That doesn't mean the Brewers are putting on the The Brewers aren't on the back burner now, are they? Everybody always talks about the Packers season goes on. Everybody's talking about the Packers. Of course, the Packers are always going to be number one in the state, right?
Yeah, the Packers are always going to be number one, but no, I can't imagine the Brewers going to the back burner at this point. I was saying yesterday, the piece for the Quick Trip pump. And even the most casual of sports fan, and there's a couple of girls in the marketing department, even the most casual of sports fan are enthralled every. So, I mean, with what they're doing, the young guys that are coming up, I got to tell you, Chuck, I always said this yesterday. I'm pumped that for two reasons. One is that obviously they're winning, and they've started off the unofficial second half of the season just on fire, and it's been great. And Miz is on fire. But I love the fact that when they brought Laura up, it kind of gave, because Cooper Pratt's in that clubhouse and he's looking around at all these guys that are big leaguers, and they're expecting him to do something. I mean, you're the guy they paid, you're the guy they brought up, and he's pressing, and you can clearly see it. And then Laura comes up, and now that's one of his guys from down in the minors who's now getting his opportunity too. So these guys get to go through the trenches now together. They can bounce. They're close. They've got that relationship where everybody else is kind of looking at you going, hey, we believe in you. You're a part of the team. It's great. We want to make you welcome, but you got to produce. And he was struggling. And the minute Laura got here, all of a sudden, boom, both guys take off. And Laura has got some energy. When that cat does something, I love the fact that he's pumped up. He's flexing up. He's screaming and yelling. I haven't seen that since CC Sabathia got here when they made a trade for him. So I love it. I'm in. I love the youth. I love the energy. I love the fatherly figure that governs all of this. I love the Miz story. There's so much good stuff going on. It's exciting to watch. It's must-see TV.
It is. And the Brewers, Bill, do have, I would say, I mean, the Dodgers have won their pennants, right? And they've won their World Series titles. But the Brewers have one of the best organizations in baseball. And now somebody's going to say, well, the Brewers haven't been to the World Series since 1982. But I mean, there's a lot of things to like about the Milwaukee Brewers. Everything you mentioned there, they got a great farm system. They got front office guys who are really good scouts. They're great at international scouting. They have, their farm system is just amazing. There's so many things going right where other organizations, I'm sure, look at the Brewers and say, how come we can't be more like these guys over there? How are they doing it with the low payroll and they're winning, 26 games over the 500 mark? It is. The only thing that's missing is October success, Bill. And, every year I keep thinking that this is going to be the year, and I haven't given up hope that, this isn't going to be the year. But I still do think they have a real good, it's fun. It's a great organization. One thing, Bill, it's a very family-friendly organization with the players and the team and the staff and all that. It's very, very they welcome in. And it's also funny that many players, even Contreras, initially did not want to come to Milwaukee when he got traded here. But once he got here, it's like, oh, man, home sweet home. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. And that's the cool thing is I've said that all along, that it's the culture that has been created that makes this so cool. That these guys, and you're in that locker room as much as anybody. I mean, it's the fact that all these guys genuinely enjoy one another. I go back to the Ken Makas and all the other ones that have been through this system, and all the other managers. There always seem to be, like, on one side you have the Latino guys, on the other side you have black guys, on the other side you have white guys, and they were all teammates, but you all had all these cliques. And you don't have that in this clubhouse. I mean, it started really kind of with Craig Counsell to a certain extent, but it's been even grown upon with Pat Murphy. But it's just everybody's for everybody. Now, obviously, Latin players that are more comfortable speaking Spanish than it is English. I mean, they have that verbiage together. But it's all these guys just love hanging out.
And they're all under the age of 30. They're, even the Turangs, the Freelicks, a couple of years older than some of these young guys. So, it really is. You had two guys on this team really north of 30, and that's Woodruff and Yelich. And, you do need some, the question is, do they have enough veteran leadership? But these guys have, some of the younger guys have taken leadership on this team. And It's just a great group. I think back, you were talking about some of the maybe 10 years ago, when Matt Garza pitched, win or lose, you always just dreaded going up to his locker and having to interview him because he was just an ordinary guy. Brewers really don't have any. They don't have any of those type of guys on this team. All pretty much good guys to deal with. They embrace the fans and all that, and that just makes it that much more fun to cover a team like that.
So I want to go to the young guys and the way they're hitting. Lars obviously playing a really solid center field. That guy's got some serious wheels, doesn't he? I mean, this team just breeds speed, arm, and talent. And if they don't get the power, so be it. I still go back to the statistics of looking at this team saying 4th best on base percentage, 6th best batting average. They got all these statistics, stolen bases, but they're the worst when it comes to hitting home runs, but yet they're scoring some of the most runs in all of baseball, and they're the 2nd best record in all of baseball. Then the question becomes, is it sustainable? And I gave a statistic yesterday, which I thought was interesting. And this wasn't necessarily, me being brilliant in any particular way. It was actually somebody that had sent us the notes. But basically saying that this team is just a tick above 500 when they don't hit a home run. They're 23 and 22. And when they do hit one, they're 43 and 18, which still brings me back to, do they have to find a legitimate power hitter, or the fact that Vaughn has now got a couple of dingers after the All-Star break? Pratt has heated up a little bit. You've still got guys that can hit like Bowers, and you still got guys that can maybe get hot, like Churio in the outfield, or even Contreras behind the plate. Do they still have to find a bat with that type of statistic hanging over their head?
I really do. As much as I like Laura, as much as you do, his power, there's not going to be a lot of power in right field, just like there was with Freelake. So I think somewhere you do have to have, and Vaughn hasn't been hitting the home runs. He's hitting for average, but he's only got, 4 home runs or so. He's hit 2 in the last week. Mm-hmm. But they need more power, and I think that's what they have to do here in the next few days, Bill. There's one name I've been putting out there in the C.J. Abrams of the Nationals. Now, the Nationals, it sounds like they're not willing to trade unless they are bowled over on a deal. He's got 25 home runs in the season, and he can play some third base, I'm hoping, even though he hasn't played this yet this year. But, he played third base for Milwaukee. But the Brewers need to get, I do think, some pop on this team. It's a lot easier to win when you can have the guy come up like Willie Adames used to do, the king of a 3-run home run, and hit that 3-run blast instead of going station to station to station. You'd like to have someone to jack one once in a while. It's funny because the Brewers will go, a few games without hitting a home run, and then they'll come up and they'll hit 3 in a game. The other night they had 9 doubles in a game, 9 extra base hits. Funny, Sunday they have 9 extra base hits, score 11 runs. Last night they couldn't get out of their own way, and they only had 3 hits. So sometimes it is a little of this saying goes feast or famine with these guys. But at the end of the day, I think the stats all prove that you need to have a couple of guys in that lineup who could hit. It's funny, Bill, in the minor league system, they have a bunch of guys who can hit home runs. They're just not ready for the major shit.
Right. Yeah, you can see that there's more than a few guys down there that are starting to rake, and I know fans want to see them, but you can't first of all, you can't start the clock on everybody at once, and you can't bring everybody up at once, and then you got to have subsequent moves. So right now, who are you sending down? What the hell? Other than competition and Cooper Pratt coming up, what the hell has happened to Joey Ortiz? My God, he's Superman. You know what I mean?
That's the deal. It's now that he's hitting. Do you look at it and you say, well, Joey's hitting right now, so maybe we don't need a third baseman? I wouldn't go down that route because I feel like those things always subside a little bit. And I would not let that preclude me from going out and getting a third baseman. I think we've seen enough sample size that with Joey, you can't look at it and say, well, now Joey all of a sudden has found it. He's ready to go. He's had the pressure taken off from shortstop. I wouldn't look at it that way. You got to get yourself another third baseman. And Joey becomes a utility guy on this team, and that's just the way it is. I think they need themselves a power-hitting third baseman if you could find one. And I do think they did another bet where this kid, like, so they bring somebody in, a guy who could play either the outfield and DH a little bit because Yelich just is not getting the job done. You need really two bats in this team. I'm looking at it, and maybe another pitcher. So we'll see how in the trading deadline right now. It's Monday, Bill, but right now it's pretty quiet. Nobody's really doing anything.
Right, and that's just it. There's nothing going on. There's a lot of rumors floating around out there, obviously, but there's nothing. I'll say this. A lot of the top trade candidates, it's going to go down to the last minute. I mean, we all know that there could be a game or two that needs to be played that before they say, hey, we're definitely going to be trading Skubal, or Byron Buxton from the Twins. They're talking about the center fielder, possibly being on the open market, but the Twins are probably saying, no, Joe Ryan, maybe, so I think a lot of this is going to come down to maybe Sunday night, and then we're going to start reading about it early on Monday, and when some of these deals finally do go down. But I agree with you. I'd love to see a power hitting third baseman that would be on the open market that they could possibly garner. But I was going through some of the top ones, and Jeff Passan was talking about these guys. The only third baseman that is like legitimately being dangled out there is Eugenio Suarez. And who the hell wants him? Because he's having a bad season in Cincinnati. You know what I mean?
Starting to heat up here he's starting to heat up here in the last week or so. He's heating up, but the Reds aren't obviously going to deal him to Milwaukee within the same division. Well, what's happening? Why there's no movement out there is you have the expanded playoffs, and if you look at the American League, Bill, there's nobody who really stands out there. Everybody, for the most part, thinks they're still in this thing and has a chance of going to the World Series. You look at Tampa, and then the Yankees, and then the White Sox are in first place in their division. Texas is a couple of games over the 500 mark, and they're in first place in the American West. So a lot of these teams aren't very good, but because they're still in it, they're not willing to trade.
Right. Yeah, I mean, what do you tell your fan base if you're only a couple of games out of the wild card spot that we're, giving up? I know the guy from the Astros, the guy that can play third and first, Isaac Paredes or
Isak Paredes.
Isak Paredes. He's another name that's been kicked around a little bit. I saw on Jeff Passan's podcast that he was talking about the Brewers possibly being involved in that. So I don't know for sure. I mean, that really hasn't taken on too much heat as of late, but that's still one of those areas that's the only other guy that's out there that I've looked at that I could say, oh, well, there's Max Chapman from the Giants. He's a guy that I think is being dangled around out there as far as a third baseman goes, but that's really kind of about it. The need for that corner third base power hitting guy, I think there's quite a few teams that have it. There's just not too many teams that are willing to give it up.
No, and Paredes, if the Astros want the Brewers to depart with a couple of top 100 prospects, they're kidding themselves.
Right, exactly.
He's not having a great year. Is he much better than what the Brewers have right now? Chapman is.
Exactly.
But as Paredes, so that's what you always look at yourself, too. It's like, wow, we were going to prospects, but, man, is there really much of an upgrade? Some of these guys who are out there. But, maybe more somebody else becomes available. That's why I like Abrams. And it just sounds like the Nats aren't willing to part with him. So then if you pivot, if you say, well, you can't get any more offense from this team, and you look at pitching and Skubal, I don't know. It just seems I'm getting more and more the vibe that he is not going to become available. That's the Brewers would.
What do you think about Freddie Peralta and all the rumors about? Yeah, let's do this. It was great to talk to Chuck a little bit earlier, and we're just running a little bit late on time. We took Mike Clemens long, which is great because he came to us live from Green Bay. So let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and we will wrap things up. Thanks to Chuck Freimund for being a part of the program as well. We'll wrap things up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. That is going to pretty much do it for us today. And tomorrow, back to hump day. And don't forget, tomorrow after we get off the air, we now head to Door County, and looking forward to my first visit to Door County. So excited about that. But when we get off the air tomorrow. But tomorrow, back at it. Packers, there's going to be a lot of Packers stuff tomorrow. Matt LaFleur is going to speak tomorrow. We're going to hear that. I believe Gutekunst speaks tomorrow too, doesn't he, Grant?
Goody will be first. I think Goody speaks at 9:20, Clemens said. So we'll have him, and we'll be able to react to whatever he says right at the beginning of the show.
So we'll have Goody. There's Matt LaFleur, Packers practice, updates, all that kind of good stuff. Obviously recapping whatever happens tonight out in San Francisco as the Brewers trying to get back into the win column and then make the series at least split. You get the win tonight, then you got a shot at winning the series coming up tomorrow. So we're going to get into all of that tomorrow as well. But really, it'll be just the beginning of Packers training camp tomorrow. I mean, a lot of that is going to be, filled with discussion. So as we start to get anticipatory towards, who is and isn't on the field, who's doing what, and the complete and massive overreaction to every little play that goes on, or every kick that's made, or every kick that is missed. And the big news of the day really is that, Lenny Craig is the new kicker, along with Trey Smack. Harvasek has been waived. So he's been let go. So that was rather interesting as well. So anyway, that's going to do it. It is time for us to get out of here until we talk again 20 hours from now. Hopefully the Brewers get a win tonight. And then we have the show tomorrow, and then we are on our way for the first time ever. Door County, going to be at the Door County Fire Company in Sturgeon Bay on Thursday, and then at Bailey's Harbor over there at Lake Fire Winery on Friday. Cannot wait. Excited about